lights are out and you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
From Darlington Raceway, the Stacy Strong Sunday Night Cup Series is ready to take on the track Too Tough to Tame. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Darlington, South Carolina, where the Lady in Black is waiting to strike the first driver who thinks they can treat her the wrong way. Last week at Kansas Speedway, Neil Pearson led just 17 laps but captured the checkered flag as the sun set over the Midwest. Now tonight, as we're here in the breadbasket of NASCAR at one of our most hallowed grounds, we look to throw back the paint and crank up the heat. I'm Dave Regal alongside my brother from another mother, Mr. Matt Metler, here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth, and as always, we're thrilled to be with you every step of the way, from the green flag to the checkered flag, right here on Sim Racing Media. And Matt, this place holds a lot of emotion for us, as I know we were just talking about it, that this is where we both broke in with this league.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic, isn't it? You got your first start here in the SNN Cup Series, and myself, somehow down that road I went, and voila, lo and behold, right here at this historic Darlington, South Carolina Speedway was the first place that I got to pop my SNN bubble, if you will, right here. In fact, 1 year ago today, believe it or not. But this racetrack, you mentioned the breadbasket of NASCAR. Give me a slice. You mentioned the heat. That track temp is spicy, 123 degrees. You know, in this surface tonight, it's going to eat up those good years. You're going to be begging for a set every time the caution flag comes out, as we're now just about through lone qualifying. And look who's at the top of the board. No surprise, Derek Heitman coming in at a 29.59. Shocked to see not one of these cars in the 28-second bracket.
Yeah, especially somebody like Bennett Allen from Chattanooga, Tennessee, our 2022 M&N Xfinity Series champion. He's rolling out of turn 4 right now after laying 29.83 down on his first lap, and he goes 29.72 and shoots to the second spot here on our timing tower. So, you know, obviously things here at the racetrack are going to be pretty dicey tonight, as we see Chad Sanner out of Smithfield, Pennsylvania, getting ready to wrap up his qualifying effort. And as he crosses the line, he's going to only be able to net 11th position. Right now, fast time of the night is 29.59, held by Derek Heitman.
Yeah, 29.9 or 59, excuse me, held by Derek Heitman. And you expect to see Ben and Allen up there, especially at a racetrack like this. But how about that 18 car, Dave? Bobby Anderson up there on the pylon, slotting in that third place position, has a strong qualifying run. But how does the lady in black take the liking to that 18 tonight or not? That's going to be the story. Welcome aboard, everyone, live here on our SNN, or I'm sorry, on our SRM YouTube channel. SNN obviously live right now. So strap up, buckle in as this pace car gets ready. Oh, excuse me. We have a warm-up session to get through first, Mr. Regal, before we take that green flag.
Yeah, we've got quite a few minutes before we go green flag racing yet, so we'll take the time right now and take a peek at our point standings. Matt DeCiani, our points leader right now, he sits atop the pile with 502 points. Patrick Gitter with 421. There's a couple of drivers that are starting to make their way up the leaderboard. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, we're only in race number 12. Playoffs don't start until much later in the year. However, we're starting to see some of these folks claw around here. I mean, Patrick Gitter here in second position just leapfrogged Sean Rogers out of Kalamazoo, Michigan. So Gitter now with full control of second position by what looks to be about just one single point over Sean Rogers, and he still trails DeCiani by 81. You know, then we look a little bit further back here. Paul Hill, a big mover last week. Dalton Mobley, though, our big mover, as well as Chris Custer. Each of those drivers popping up 4 positions to be where they are right now. So we've got a big lead, a lot of points, and we say it's a big league, but not everybody's making these starts like they need to. You know, and if any of these guys have designs on trying to make the playoffs, these are the races that you need to be in, especially when we've got just over 30 drivers. In fact, it looks like we should have about 34 drivers when the green flag drops. The other thing to keep in mind, of course, is those team points. Now, team points, TCSP ETN Esports is absolutely running away with it, Matt.
Yeah, it's like they're on another planet. They have all-wheel drive, twin turbos on their cars, and these guys are just doing things right now that all these other teams are sitting there each and every week scratching their heads, wondering what are they putting in the water over there.
Yeah, it's definitely something in the water for sure. Ford Wide Motorsports trails TCSP E10 Esports by all but 400 points, you know, and nobody even close. That's just absurd. But these drivers are showing up every week. They're getting as many laps in as they can. Even when dumb stuff happens to them, they still get back out on the racetrack and try to complete those laps and earn themselves more points. It's obviously paying off for those guys on that team.
Absolutely. And that was something that I really started to notice and pay attention to last year. My inaugural season up here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial booth was watching drivers like RJ Root, you know, and drivers that were then now on Team Conti, I should say, this year. You know, they would absolutely catch a car to the face, as Tony Trapasso would say. It would come down pit road crab walking. And here he is, an hour and 25 minutes later, getting back on the racetrack. And Dave, I'm sitting there scratching my head going, what is he doing? Then, as the races went on, it started to click. It's all about those very critical, important points. And you couldn't have said it better yourself.
Yeah, and speaking of Matt DeCiani, he is oddly missing tonight, so maybe he's doing some late Mother's Day celebrating as qualifying just 1 minute left tonight. So no Matt DeCiani, that's going to open the door for, a lot of people to try to shuffle toward that gap right now that he's got between himself and Gitter. In fact, as I'm looking here at the timing line, I don't even see Patrick Gitter. This is an interesting night here.
If we were just talking, you were just talking about how critical it was to make races of this caliber, and yet one of the favorites, one of the strong runners, Matt DeCiani, he's also a member of T Conti that I just mentioned a few moments ago. Not seeing a caller here for that car in the infield. However, you did mention he has a comfortable lead in points, but you don't want to let comfortable come up and bite you in the tushy, especially when you get into playoff mode, because those points, they do jumble a lot, and that huge cushion vanishes in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and, complacency is what causes us to make mistakes out on the racetrack and in life. I mean, Matt DeCiani, he's missing. Patrick Gitter is missing. Sean Rogers is missing. Nolan Hodgson, that puts him in the position to suddenly start to make a little bit of ground up on these guys. I mean, Hodgson sits just 20 points, 20 points behind Gitter as I'm looking at the gap here. So that can really help him out to try to crawl up higher. I mean, and at the same time, if he can catch himself a 20-point night, all of a sudden he's going to be sitting here in P2 when we come back next Sunday.
Just continuing on what you're saying, another driver, Dalton Mobley in the 2, he's been on a hot streak climbing through the points, and yet with some of those big names out, another race here where he can capitalize, get more, really attack that points deficit in that 2, should things trend the right way for him. We see now the 12 there of Hodgson rolling off pit road, the beautiful Ryan Newman Alltel throwback paint scheme. Feel like it's 2003.
Yeah, but I'm saying.
And I believe we have him now up in the booth. Dave and Matt, you got a copy there, Nolan?
Yes, sir, I do.
Well, Nolan, you got a beautiful paint scheme on that Dark Horse Mustang, obviously throwing it back to Ryan Newman. You're going to roll off the field here with a great starting position. Some big names not in the field tonight. Can you continue this momentum and capitalize here with a strong points evening when all is said and done here?
I mean, I'll certainly try. There's a lot of opportunities on this track to, be turned or get walled or something. Wheel damage is a very big prominent part in this race, especially coming out of 2 and 4. But we'll try to keep the car clean. We'll be patient throughout the race. Even though it's only 400 miles, it's still a really long race. So we'll see what we can do.
Absolutely. And one final question for you. You're obviously a veteran race car driver. You mentioned patience, but just how do you apply that on the racetrack? What are some of the things you can do as a driver to pace yourself so you can make it all the way through those 400 grueling miles here this evening?
Well, I mean, especially seeing what the track temp is right now, there's going to be a lot of people who feel like Superman for the first, 10, 15, 20 laps of the run. And then all of a sudden they're slipping and sliding around, coming right back to your bumper. So it's pretty much just waiting until that happens. Being very cautious if there's any wrecks in front of you, because, cautions are hard to come by here. So just being very patient and working your way around that. Not really making moves until it's time to make moves. And that's about it.
Hey, very well said. Nolan Hodgson, best of luck tonight. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the driver of the Alltel Ford Mustang. Keep an eye on that throwback Mustang paint scheme here this evening as he looks to conquer the track, or the Lady in Black, here live on SRM. Dave, back to you as he goes drift mode live on cam. Save it, man.
Well, that's never what you want to do right after we're done interviewing you, but all of a sudden, Nolan Hodgson able to keep it together. I mean, you know, he's going to be the driver that's really, poised to make the most impact tonight on points. I mean, he can, for a driver like him, he can absolutely make a run at this thing tonight, and I'm kind of excited to see what the young man out of Lamar's, Iowa is going to do. We see Derek Heitman just behind him. Now, Heitman is 19 points behind Hodgson, so he's got a lot more ground to make up. But let's see if we can get a hold of Derek before we go green flag racing here tonight. Nope. Where the heck is he?
Well, I can tell you he's out on the racetrack going through the 3-4 complex at the moment.
Well, thank God we know where he is on the racetrack. Now I found him here in the Discord. Derek Heitman, it's Dave and Matt up here in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey guys, how we doing?
Good. We were just talking to Nolan Hodgson. You guys are kind of sitting in the best position on the field tonight when you consider the fact that your top three all are missing this race. That opens the door for you and Nolan to make some moves here on our point standings. What say you, and what kind of a mindset does that put you in?
Well, I already got a win on the year, so we're locked into the playoffs. I'm just kind of probably going to ride around. I might take some risks and see what I can do. Not really too concerned about winning, even though that's always the main goal. But I mean, at a track like this, your number one concern actually needs to be keeping your car off the wall and in one piece. So we'll see if we can do that today, and maybe we'll come away with the trophy.
All right, man. Well, listen, there's a guy with the right idea. We're going to get gridded up here in just a moment, so good luck tonight.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
As we're going to move him back on up here into the TCSP E10 Esports chat, we're going to get ready to go green flag racing. Dylan Banks fastest during the warm-up. But
Dave, you moved the wrong guy.
Oh, crap. Well, that's going to be a problem, isn't it?
Sorry to interrupt.
And apparently I wanted to work with Dylan instead of you tonight, Matt, as I moved you instead of him. I'm sorry. I apologize. Don't hate me.
Oh, it puts Joe Dirt in the hole. I was sitting here going, wait a minute. Did I? I figured it was an honest mistake, Dave. It happens.
Well, here we are getting ready to grid up at the Lady in Black. Derek Heitman going to be your pole sitter. He'll be followed on the outside of row number 1 by Chattanooga, Tennessee's very own Bennett Allen. Bobby Anderson going to sit on the inside of row number 2 with Matt Long to his outside in Atlanta, Georgia. Row 3 going to feature Nolan Hodgson, who we just heard from, and Neil Pearson from the other side of the world, quite literally 10 a.m. over there in Australia, as he's going to sit on the outside of row 3. Row 4 going to feature Dalton Mobley and Dylan Banks, while row 5 is going to have Paul Hill and Tanner Marty holding down the top 10 as we get rolling here, Matt. Chad Sanner out of Smithfield, PA, alongside Chris Davis in row number 6, while row 7 going to have Kavaja Holt and Michael Witt, Ryan Samuelson and Anthony Savignano in row 8, while row 9 going to have Sean Rogers and Seba Cornez, Tane Hoddison and Richard Pruitt in row 10, while row 11 going to feature Cody McCorkle and Eric Papineau. Brian Tarnowski, whose wife is that this league is named for, from Waukesha, Wisconsin, going to be on the inside of row number 12. I think this is the first place he and I ever exchanged paint, as he's going to be joined by Rafael Rodriguez. Row 13 has Newell, North Carolina's very own Mark Johnston and Chris Custer, Chris Claude, Ron Fitting, Andrew Deemer, Michael Caffrey, Keith Long, Rich Jett, Diego Rodriguez, and McAdoo, Pennsylvania's very own John Wilco in the QVC number 62. I don't even know how many people are using QVC yet, as the iRacing.com pace car brings us down the backstretch. Matt, I am ready. I know you're ready. These drivers are ready, and this racetrack is always here laying in wait. The iRacing.com pace car makes the hard left turn down pit road, and as we work our way through the 3-4 complex, the only thing that's left to do is it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab some popcorn, call a friend, settle in. Race fans, it's show time! Oh my God, already Derek Heitman gets loose coming into turn 1. That opens the door for Bennett Allen as Heitman, whoa, there goes the 6. And the big one already in effect here on the backstretch. My God, oh, the humanity. as we can't even get through lap number 1 without some type of calamity. We're going to watch the 6 car here. First, I have to find him. Let's watch this from the 6 car's perspective as he comes out of 2 and onto the back chute. Looks like he might have gotten some dirty air as, oh, that is just ugly here on lap number 1. We'll take another look at it from our blimp and see if we can get a better angle at this. As here he is coming out of 2. We might have to look at this from the 74's perspective. It looks like he checked up, bounced into the 29 of Tanner Marty, and then Chad Sander finishes him off. Ooh. And Seba Cornez just nailed him. Everybody else scurries away. Looks like Ron Fitting finally driving the paint scheme we've all been waiting for all season here in the Goodwrench number 3 Chevrolet Camaro. Bobby Anderson with some connection issues there, but Bennett Allen now going to be your race leader as we are under our first caution of the night. On lap number 1, couldn't even get out of turn 2 before bad things happened. This racetrack is completely insane with track temperature right now, 121 degrees. What that does is it basically turns the tires into oil slick machines, and these cars are going to wind up starting to feel like they've just driven into a slime, like a slot of slime, getting around the racetrack. We see Bobby Anderson. There he is. Hey.
Well, yeah, after someone brought me on a two-word day Discord, SNN edition, as I just randomly went through everyone's voice chat and then was brought back up here to the booth. So glad to be back here, Dave.
Were you doing it?
No. I thought maybe it was you.
No, that means we have a gremlin. Well, just in case this couldn't be any stranger, the iRacing.com pace car leading us through turn 1 and 2 once again. Of course, I hear Race Control trying to give some helpful advice, including just drive safe. We see Bobby Anderson driving Bobby Labonte's Interstate Batteries number 18. Talk about the mid-2000s calling. They'd like their paint scheme back. Even a little Chef Boyardee action here on the C post. Husqvarna just underneath the B post. The Ditch Witch. Oh, I remember the Ditch Witch. Do you remember the Ditch Witch? As now, it seems like I've lost my partner for the second time of the evening. There is a gremlin at work somewhere in Discord, and if I find you, I will hurt you. As Bennett Allen going to take control of the race. He hits the loud pedal, and here we go. We're going to ride along with Bennett Allen here as we get through, and we're under caution again.
Yeah, caution back out on the racetrack as soon as we went back green.
Well, let's see what happened here. This may have originated with Mark Johnston back deeper in the field. It looks like the 60 checked up, and it looked like an accordion. I guess somebody thought they were playing polka music, but that was earlier today on 105.5 WMGH with Polka Joe. So perhaps they missed the memo. I do appreciate you tuning into our station, though. Well, Matt, 2 cautions in not a full green flag lap yet. I think this is going to be one of those.
Well, this is just a case where these drivers, I understand there's some anticipation, there's nerves, especially at the drop of a marquee event. But with that track temp, as you were just alluding to, being, 123 plus degrees Fahrenheit, you just have to give and take on this restart. If you see a line check up, just roll out of the throttle. a gentleman's agreement type deal, if you will, just until you get some breathing room out there on the racetrack and then proceed on. This is just a byproduct of Darlington with these conditions, and look for these drivers and teams to make some adjustments here. This is very unlike, the typical competition we see here in the series, and I know they'll get it right probably here on this next green flag.
Yeah, Bennett Allen, our race leader, I was riding along with him, and as soon as the green flag dropped, the yellow flag had to come out. I think Barney up there in the stand nearly dropped them just trying to get them back into their holsters there, as it's going to be Allen, Anderson, and Hodgson, your top three when we go back green flag racing. The iRacing.com pace car leading us down the front stretch. Let's take a look here. Down the back stretch. Let's take a look here. There they are. Once upon a time, this was the front stretch.
Yeah, it was until this track was reconfigured. And if you talk about, something that Tony would do throughout the course of the night, especially under caution, I remember last year he told me when this track was initially broke ground back in the 1940s, post-World War II era, one of these turns is not like the others. 1 and 2, vastly different from 3 and 4. The reason 3 and 4 is much tighter, there used to be a pond just off the back of that complex, and that's one of the main reasons why, this track has that egg shape, Dave.
Yeah, and we can see that as we go up here to our high blimp. In fact, let's see if I can spin this camera around. There's a pond over here to the left-hand side, if we can, right there on your screen. And that's why this racetrack couldn't be extended further. And there was a duck pond actually where this parking lot now is, right in the middle of 3 and 4. Or what is now 3 and 4. So it's kind of weird and it's kind of unique. And then, of course, the track gets reconfigured, and the backstretch where the cars are now here in the top middle of your screen as they get ready to go back green flag racing, that originally was the front stretch. So it's also why we have 2 sets of grandstands right down the middle of this racetrack.
Yeah, that I was not aware of, but what you said there makes sense. So thanks for the history update. As those lights now out on the pace car, Dave, it's going to make that hard turn down pit road. It's going to give Bennett Allen the button. At 15 is going to restart here on the outside. Bobby Anderson on the inside. Wait for Barney. Green flag in the air, hard on the throttle once again as these V8s come roaring gloriously back to life here in prime time. What a restart by Bennett Allen as he's going to clear the chaos going into the turns 1 and 2, and now fires down the backstretch.
As Bennett fires down the backstretch, it looks like about the top 15 cars all going single file. They don't want to sit here and screw this up. Everybody toward the back of the race pack has decided that they want to try to do some crazy stuff, and that's fine for the time being. I just wouldn't do it for too long. As we look back, it looks like, who is that here? I see it's either Kyle Petty or it's not. That is Sean Rogers. I didn't see him earlier, and all of a sudden, here he is.
Yeah, as Rogers goes to the bottom, that Wendell Scott throwback dark horse was in the wall, making contact a few times there. Seems to have gotten it underneath him now, single file, but that 44 Hot Wheels machine has got some hot Goodyears on it as he's charging, or at least trying to make his way up front, as he's now going to challenge the 88 of Michael Witt. This just inside the top 15.
A couple of good, you know what? This is going to be my favorite throwback for the evening. Sean Rogers here. It looks like it used to be the old Hot Wheels logo driven by none other than Kyle Petty, as he now works to the low side of Michael Witt. And then Michael Witt here in a blue and gold, almost the Wrangler. Oh, geez, almost the Wrangler paint scheme driven by, Dale Earnhardt back in the 70s and early 80s. So these are two of my favorites, but I gotta hang my hat on Sean Rogers. That just makes me feel like I'm a little kid asking for that. It was a set from Hot Wheels where you could clean the race car and perform, a pit stop on it. That was my favorite toy.
I remember that from back in the day, and I like how they replaced Hot Wheels with Beast Mode. Obviously, that's a Beast Mode performance race car on the racetrack. Nicely done there by that team. So we continue now to run single file. We seem to have the restart woes here solved as we take it back up to the 81 of Ryan Samuelson, as he's currently in that 13th place position, up 3 spots from where he started. looking to apply some pressure now on Chad Sanner, who is just about a half a car length in front of him now as the 44 gets a great entry. You see him now, almost look, it was like a 3 wide situation. They're always going to get tight off the corner. The 81 is Samuelson.
Oh, he's spun by the 94.
The broadcaster's curse is real.
You know how you know how iRacing has that little feature where we can focus on crashes? It knows.
Yeah,
that absolutely knows.
That exciting button right next to it, I think you're alluding to?
Yeah, I went from exciting to crashes, and there's the 94. It's almost like iRacing knew something bad was going to happen, as we saw right here with the 81. We're going to take a look here at from the 94's perspective, because, I mean, it didn't look like it was malicious by any stretch of the term.
No, not at all.
Now I just have to get there and find him.
Yeah, this was just a typical Darlington deal, and I really think, again, this track temp had a big role in this. As there is some hard-fought racing going on the racetrack. There is the 94. As our camera and replay team continues to queue up this replay. There we go. So we go on board now with the 94. You see the 44 there, Rogers clear.
Everything. We're going to run this back just a little bit further, and here's the reason. It just seemed, and I hate to do this, but I hate to do it at least in real time, but this just bodes. I want to see, at least from our perspective, if we can take a look and maybe see what brought this on.
I think it started there when, well, you've seen the 81 there, Samuelson, come across the nose, but I think this started a half lap beforehand, Dave.
You think?
I think so.
Well, let's take a look. Let me run this all the way back, as we're going to just maybe start to see a little bit of bumping and grinding like it's a club in the mid 2000s, at least for those of us who are in clubs in that 2009-10 era. As we're just going to see the 81 work the underside and come down the back chute. Take us through it, Matt.
All right, so here the 81's got to run. Samuelson, he's a little hesitant on which lane to go or which lane to take, but then the 94 has to check up to the car in front of him. This is going to make the 81 squeeze up the fence. He's going to get loose off the top. He makes contact multiple times there. The second time he comes down right across the face of the 94 of Chad Sanner. And that's why I said I felt like it started a half lap before. A big checkup in front of this piece, as Tony would say, I think was the main catalyst there, and it kind of made Samuelson get forced into a decision to go high or go low, and I think that was the main catalyst that started this whole debacle, which brought out the caution flag yet again.
Well, with us now in the broadcast booth, Ryan Samuelson out of Westminster, Maryland. Hey, Ryan, take us through that. Everything okay there with the 81?
Yeah, I was kind of watching the replay on you guys and just to kind of see what happened. I'm still trying to figure out like exactly what happened. I know there's a big check, like a little bit of a check coming from me, so I was able to get to the outside line, outside of Chad there, and I thought maybe I turned myself. Honestly,
It looked like you got a little loose coming out of 4, and then just kind of bounced around.
Yeah, I mean, either way, there's no ill will. I mean, I raced with Chad a long time, and I know he wouldn't do anything malicious to me. I hope, and I was about to keep him in, so I'm like, hey, I think it's all good, man. Just trying to figure out my footing here, and there are other laps. Didn't want to start with that, but we got a good car to maybe pull ourselves up and get a good finish. Just losing inside tires here matters, so it's tough. So
yeah, now that you mention, I mean, you and Chad have been some of the longest tenured veterans in this league. I know that I've raced with you and seen you guys racing against each other for years now. So, yeah, not even a thought in my mind would say that there was any kind of ill intent. But just glad that you're able to get the 81 back out there and keep battling tonight.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it's just kind of a train out there. So anytime you can kind of get a position out there, you have to go for it. And I saw a shot with the outside. And yeah, and I ended up in the inside wall. So, oh well.
All right, man. Good luck the rest of the way. Maybe we'll see you there.
Hopefully, see ya.
Well, Matt, you know what? At least that just kind of goes to show what kind of drivers they have in this league, and hey, they understand one another and they understand that racing is racing.
Yeah, and you heard exactly what Samuelson said, and I don't think it was any misintent of the 94. I just think that was a racing deal. We get ready to go back. Green flag racing once again, punching through the floorboard, and look at Ben and Allen go in. That dark horse, he knows how to get going on these restarts. As he shoots out, carries the torch once again. Bobby Anderson slides it into the corner. Really using those good years, washing up the racetrack, and now he's going to make a run as he looks to the inside.
Anderson looks to the inside. This can be a little dangerous. We just saw it with Ryan Samuelson, and they thought maybe they could do it again, and it looks like this time Anderson having to slow down a little bit too much as we look much further back here toward Kavaja Holt and even further back toward where Chad Sanner currently is in 14th position. The 93 of Tane Hodison trying to get organized. Just behind him, we're going to ride along with Hodison now as he's we can hear him fluttering that throttle coming down the back chute from Brunswick, Maine, and yeah, you can see the front nose of this car just floating around as he's basically on nothing but hot oil.
Yeah, it's almost like an ice skating rink out there, and I know it's kind of, if you're sitting at home, well, how do you say in that? You let track temps over 100 degrees. The car's just not getting planning into the racing surface. It's skating around, and that nose cam really did a great job of just showing all you guys watching along with us. Oh, the 81 almost gets caught up in Calamity Quarter there again, as he has to big time save it coming off. I don't know how Samuelson has done this 2 times in a row, Dave. Usually you get turned coming off the corner, you're going to eat hot garbage, and yet that Camaro looks unscathed as he's side-by-side John Force style here as we take it back up the road, or towards the back, excuse me. Some more side-by-side action.
Yeah, just kind of letting iRacing cycle the way that it has to as we're bouncing between several of these drivers. We see that Superman number 24 closing in here. That's Richard Pruitt as side-by-side they go. Tane Hodison in the 93. He works, shooting down low. Oh, my. Who is that? That's the 78 of Cody McCorkle. Ugh. There's so much action all over the racetrack. We're only 23 laps into this piece. Hopefully we can start to click some of these off for the time being, especially, after having so many here. Last one being involved on lap 14. So here we are, settled in now. Looks like everybody, Michael McCaffrey showing as wrecked. Michael McCaffrey having a bad day. Let's see what happened here with him. As McCaffrey, I don't know. Whoa! He and the 66 just nose together. That's Chris Custer. But they stay against the inside wall, and Matt, obviously that's enough to keep the green flag out.
Yeah, thank heavens those drivers knew how to lock it down there on the inside retaining wall there. It's almost like they both lost it coming off the corner, and they had a meeting of the minds there, basically on the apron. I mean, they wrecked literally up against the catch fence there on the up almost against pit road. I've never really seen anything like that in a while. At 0.3 of a second, that's, probably as much cushion as you're going to get right now. As you can see, these drivers, they're trying to give and take. They're trying to give each other some room out there, especially as we continue to wear away at these Dr. Feelgoods. You know, these drivers are probably already screaming for tires side by side there. That Hot Wheels continues to be hot out there on the racetrack, going up against Dalton Mobley in the two side by side. Did they make contact or not? You guys decide at home. Is it still a drag race down the Boeing backstretch? Now we go on board with Rogers. He's going to turn it into the corner. Can he keep it down in the bottom lane and not slide up the racetrack? So far, that is a yes. You can see just how close Mobley is they're still not going to have it settled at the line. Looked like the finish at Kansas last week.
Yeah, Kansas's finish was incredible last week. We see Rogers here with Mobley on the high side, and they are just banging into each other. This is good old-fashioned southeastern United States racing, if I ever saw it, as all of a sudden here we see the 90 of Anthony Savignano stepping in here, as he's got the Red Baron, and fortunately it's not the Snoopy Red Baron, it's the tasty one that makes the pizza, as he falls single file.
Yeah, that's the biplane Red Baron. And you could see just how much time Rogers and Mobley were giving up with that side-by-side battle as he came in there talking about the Baron like a P-51 Mustang D, you know, for going back to World War II era. A lot of hard racing here. This all around that 15th, 16th place position. Rodriguez there in the 60. He's really starting to have a hard time with that dark horse, especially off the corner. That's going to back up Michael Witt, and that's going to allow the 81 there, Samuelson, to get a run here into the corner.
Yeah, just ahead of Samuelson is the 00 of Kavaja Holt. He's got to let the 6-car Paul Hill, who qualified on the pole, did not qualify on the pole, but brought out the first caution, as the 60 now is just floating here almost helplessly. He's kind of trying to hook his wagon to the rear of Kavaja Holt. Kavaja not having anything to do with it, as he gets a good arrow push here from the 6 of Paul Hill. They go down the front chute and into 1 and 2. And at this point, it seems like nobody wants to be near Paul Hill, and everybody's trying to hitch their wagon to Kavaja Holt, because I'll tell you what, Kavaja is one of these drivers that I'm pretty sure has figured this racetrack out. He runs in 14th right now. He qualified here, and he's going to be there as long as he can keep the nose of this dark horse clean. As we go 4 Fords, then 6 Chevys, a bunch more Fords. There are just 4 Toyotas in the lead in the race right now.
And if you go back a year ago, this field was Toyota dominant. It's funny what happens over the course of just a year. As from a manufacturer standpoint, Dave, this league has completely flip-flopped one way to the other. But that Tricious Hope 00, as you mentioned, Kavaja Holt, he knows, I agree, how to get around this racetrack. You're seeing the patience. Oh, as Samuelson slides the meat into the sandwich there in between the 00. Oh, he catches a piece of the fence, has to go down the hill to catch it. Now he's side by side with Kavaja Holt going to the corner. Check the box. There's another spot for Samuelson. What a move.
Yeah, Samuelson on the recovery drive doing very well right now, as he runs currently in 15th position. I take a peek over here. There is not a single Toyota until you hit P22 in the form of Seba Cornez, and Cornez almost just takes the rear bumper off of Richard Pruitt in the 24. As we move here on lap number 34, we're on our way toward lap number 90. That's when stage 1 is going to conclude. Stage 2 going to end at lap 185. Drivers have 10 sets of tires, so really that puts the the pit window somewhere between 30 and 45 laps, and a lot of these drivers I think we're going to see go ahead and come down, let's just say toward the beginning, maybe between 30 and 40, but you have to remember that this cycle itself is going to be a little convoluted, considering the fact that, we've had so many cautions early on in this race.
Well, that's exactly it. All those cautions, I'm sure, threw a monkey wrench in all of these teams, especially with their first pit stop. But, it's back to business out there on the racetrack. I mean, we're back to hard green flag racing, taking a look at McCorkle now, who owns that 20th spot. Really starting to dial up the excitometer inside the cockpit of the 88 McCorkle. He's going to go up the hill, try to give the 78 plenty of room. The problem is those tires, they're worn out, and the 78 cannot put the power down on the bottom. The 88's going to get the run on the high side, and here we go again, this is going to allow everyone else behind him to close in, as you see the 74 creeping into the frame.
Yeah, the 88 of Michael Witt takes Cody McCorkle pretty easily there as he gets past him on the high side. McCorkle obviously starting to deal with those tight race car conditions as he's trying to stay as far down the racetrack as he can. But it's almost like as soon as he blinks, that car drifts up as now he's got Richard Pruitt and Seba Cornez just behind. The thing is, at this stage in any race, as we take a peek here at our race leader, Bobby Anderson, and the Bobby Labonte paint scheme, who's going to blink first? Obviously, these drivers at the front of the pack, they've got this racetrack figured out, and they're more than happy to just go up here, drive, and log some laps. Then the guys at the back of the pack, here from about, I would say, 15th on through 28th, they're still trying to get things figured out here. They're trying to look for ways to get around, maybe make some adjustments, air pressure, track bar, whatever they can do. Of course, it's not really track bar in these, but you know the idea. And see if they can find another way to boogie around this piece.
Well, someone that's trying to do the Darlington boogie right now is the 74 there of Chris Davis. This battle isn't for position. Remember, he got caught up in that calamity on the initial green flag of the race. So he is on a recovery drive trying to put himself in that free pass position, and he has already burned up those tires. You can see just how hard it is for that Toyota to maintain its position on the racetrack. But Chris Davis, he's a tough, rough driver. He is out there doing everything he can, but already, Dave, you can see the urgency as they have all that respect for this racetrack, as it's tough to get those laps back, especially when these green flag conditions look to loom over the course of the race, at least for the time being.
40 laps in the books. We're going to ride along with Bennett Allen right now as they come out of turn 2 and down the back chute. He's watching Matt Long try to capitalize on Bobby Anderson late in the run as he hits 5th gear. But, it's almost like Bobby Anderson knows that he's got to keep it right where he is. Allen kind of swinging down a little lower than most through 3 and 4. A lot of people try to keep the car, feeling neutral rather than too tight coming through that turn. But it almost seems like Matt Long is just hanging on for dear life as we work here on lap 41. "41 laps in the books, waiting to see who's going to blink and who's going to start getting ready to come down pit road first as the 18 of Bobby Anderson leads this race. And, Bobby Anderson may be leading this race, but once upon a time, there were many other Bobbies out here on this racetrack. Bobby Allison, Bobby Labonte, and I'm looking at some of the stats that they've left over the years. Now, we have Neil Pearson in this league, but David Pearson has the most wins at 10. I can't even imagine what it takes, especially in some of those older cars, Matt, how you're going to come across leading these races every time for 10 races.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking, it's almost like a different world when you go back into the 70s, 80s, and even a part of the 90s. Back then, you couldn't even run this race wide open. You had to manage your equipment. Today, we say manage equipment. We usually refer to tires. Back then, it was a whole different ballgame. You had to manage that engine, the heart of that race car. You could not just hold it to the floor, and even if you could, it wouldn't last the grind. It wouldn't stay alive for the distance. So that race car driver had to do a lot more inside the cockpit of these live green flag conditions. Oh, as we see the 12 get big time squirrely there, and just like that, sometimes that's how you got to get a run. Be patient, just like the 58 of Pearson. Now he is side to side, the 12 of Newman, or excuse me, that looks just like Ryan
reflex.
Newman. It was. Nolan Hodson, excuse me, gets into the wall in the 58 of Neil Pearson, now cracks the top 5. Why? Not because he pulled the trigger, because he waited for the car in front of him to make a mistake, and that, Dave, is old school Darlington 101.
Yeah, if you ever get the chance, go over to NASCAR.com. You can check out all of the old classic races. They have most of them, loaded up there onto the website. And some of those races here at Darlington are, wow, another whack of the wall for the 12 of Nolan Hodgson. Some of those races were just exciting to watch because you have to remember a lot of the drivers that used to come here back in the day, and I would say, early to mid 70s and before, they literally had to go to the local car dealership, buy a car, strip it down, and make it race worthy.
The old saying, race on Sunday, buy on Monday, was alive and well at that point in time. And look at Pearson drifted like it's Saturday night out there on the racetrack. Why are they still on the racetrack? That pit window is open. I figured Bobby Anderson and company would have been screaming for eagles the minute that window came. That window was even within a needle mark on, on the scoring block. But I guess not. They're still out there turning laps.
Well, listen, I mean, Bobby Anderson looked over. He saw the pit window open, and Aunt B put a pie right on the windowsill. And she said, now, don't touch this, Opie. It's a little too hot. So Bobby's going to stay out here and log some laps, as now he's getting ready maybe to have to defend the lead, as Matt Long has been trying to keep it cool, calm, and collected here during stage number 1. I guess Aunt B's got the pie waiting, and Bobby's just not hungry yet.
Well, I can tell you who is. Matt Long. That's his strong. That's his marquee calling card right there, especially these long runs. And here he is in the dark horse, starting to turn up the juice on Bobby Anderson, looking like he's Bobby Labonte out there, as you said earlier in this race. He's a little bit quicker out there on the racetrack. As soon as I say that, they flip flop. That time, Bobby Anderson goes a 9.7 to Matt Long's 9.8. But all three of these drivers in the top 3, all within a tenth of each other out there in speed right now. Over 2 seconds of fall off, Dave.
Yeah, let's take a look at the best laps here on the left side of your screen, folks. Best times so far tonight, 29.96 for Anderson, 98 for Long, and so on, 29.95 for Allen. Now let's look here at the last lap times. 2 seconds, as my friend just let you all know. 31.2 for Anderson, 31.35 for Long, and 31.36 for Allen. So a lot of time has fallen off of these cars. A lot of these guys are basically just hanging on. Hey, squeeze the fuel out if you can, but right now you're starting to play with fire, because all it's going to take is one mistake, and caution number 4 is going to rear its ugly head as Bobby Anderson finally blinks. I guess he got hungry. He's got his fork in hand, and Aunt B is ready to serve some pie.
Yeah, come and get some steak and eggs while you're at it, too. At least that's what I'm in the mood for right now. As Anderson blinks first, that's going to turn the lead over, to Matt Long, as he's going to carry the torch for the first time here tonight at the historic Darlington Raceway. Look who's in that P2 position. We showcased him in the pre-race show, Dave. There's Bennett Allen. Even with the board, he's going to come down, and so is Matty Long as well. Look for Pearson, Hodson, and others to pit this time by as well.
We see Long and Allen coming down pit road, and this is not an easy pit road to get onto under green flag conditions. You almost have to set yourself up crazy early, as I'm waiting to see if somebody else will come down. Let's see if Pearson going to do it this time as he comes down the back chute. Wow, he is all over the place. He almost thought about aiming for pit road and then aborted. And
seen those barrels.
Yeah. When you see that yellow line, you need to already be on the flat.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. The first couple times I tried to hit pit road here, I hit everything but pit road. And then I had
Was that the night of the barrels?
That was the night of the barrels. Yes, it was. Well, the barrels was my second attempt. My first attempt, I sent it back up the racetrack into the fence.
Well, here comes Pearson. Now watch where he sets himself up, almost like 100 yards sooner. There's the barrels, 100 yards sooner than you would think that he would have to. He manages to get down pit road. Now I see Chris Claude. We want to take a quick peek here at Chris Claude's paint scheme, because this is my vote for favorite paint scheme. Easy there, Chris. Just get it. There you go. Put there. A good shot of him. Here's the thing with Chris Claude. Chris Claude is a total Joe Gibbs racing nut, and he's got the old Tony Stewart paint scheme. And somebody raised the question to me last week, and I don't think it was you, but it might have been Shane. What may have been if Tony Stewart never left JGR?
I'm torn on that. You and I could probably discuss that over a podcast for 2 hours. But let me ask you a question. When you first see this paint scheme, you immediately think Tony Stewart, right? However, I see a Dollar General stamp or in the third-tier sponsor location on that race car. So is that Matt Kenseth or is that Tony Stewart, Dave?
Well, you know what? I'm still going to go with Tony Stewart. The primary is Home Depot. And, I mean, yes, it says Dollar General and, you know, the DeWalt thing with Matt Kenseth. But to me, it's all about Home Depot. I, of course, am a dedicated Home Depot customer. They get thousands of dollars from me at work, and I'm more than happy to keep giving it to them, as they provide many people in my profession with the supplies that we need every day. And you know what? Back in like the mid 2000s, that was just a cool paint scheme. I didn't even like Tony Stewart. I just loved the orange and white paint scheme.
That was my calling to it as well. Not to change the subject, but Matt Long hits fast lap of the race at a 29.88. So obviously he's got some new Goodyear Eagles on that race car. But going back to that Tony Stewart paint scheme, I was just rattling your cage a little bit there because I know how much you like smoke. I know that's not a Matt Kenseth paint scheme. I just had to try and bust your bubble a little bit.
I'll tell you what, smoke is if I have a spirit animal, it's smoke. Because I get a little bit of road rage when I'm out there on a highway just trying to get to where I'm going. And I drive in southeastern Pennsylvania. We have those crazy people from New Jersey to our east that bleed over our border. Look, those people in New Jersey, when I have to go to New Jersey, I would rather put my face in a wood chipper instead of go over there.
Oh, that I love the way you delivered that and that verbiage that you used because I could feel it, but you're so right. I agree. But speaking of Tony Stewart, I don't know if you happened to see it, but he actually ran a Cletus and Cars event at Lucas Oil Raceway. He raced the Crown Vics, and Stewart basically dominated the second half of the race until one of the Cletus's camera guys or mechanics actually got into him on the final lap and put Stewart in the wall. I immediately got scared. I was like, oh, God, this is not going to end well.
Don't hurt him.
And Stewart pops out of the car, comes over, congratulates the guy, all smiles, and says on camera, let's line these things up another 80 laps. I want to go again.
You know, so it's funny, like when you say those things, like in his now retirement career, I think we've gotten to see different layers of Tony Stewart the sense that, you know, I got to see, especially when he took, I forget who the heck it was, on it was like an MTV Cribs episode of his house. And he's got like a room full of helmets, and every helmet has a story. And you know what? 25 years ago, if you would have put Tony Stewart into the wall, I would have told you to run as far away as possible. But now I think he's managed to become more of a fan and understand that that's what people like to see from from a race, especially at the last lap. I mean, granted, if they would have done it to him on lap 5, it would have been a completely different story.
Right. Well, that was the only time I have ever seen Tony Stewart get dumped going for a win and come out of this car, smiles and high-fiving people saying, hey, oh, how did he save that race car? Are you kidding me? He looked like Dale Earnhardt in that thing.
Everybody needs a hobby, and that one just happened to be Ron Fitting. Let's see if we can run this back real quick, because Ron Fitting just absolutely had the save of the day. In fact, maybe he should have been the one with the Superman paint scheme on here. As
this is a Dale Earnhardt save all day. Not to cut you off. Watch this.
There's the 97 underneath. Oh, it might have been neck code.
Even still, I mean, he took it from both ends. And he
hit both sides.
Yeah. Something wrong. You know, it did not. There's something, you know, I don't know how Ron saved that race car.
Something wrong. Now, that's the cousin. Do you know who Yamin is?
Yes, I do.
Listen, Yamin? Yamin makes the egg rolls down a Hunan Walk, and his cousin, Nam Sayin, helps to make the spring rolls.
Well, clearly, Ron Fitting had a little bit of that before the race, because that was just incredible. I mean, that car was kicked out 45 degrees. He catches it, then gets smacked in the keister, and still able to carry on like nothing happened. Like, if we didn't happen to have the camera in his vicinity, we never would have even known that happened, Dave. That's how smooth that was by Ron.
There's something that just feels good about this camera angle right here. The Hot Wheels machine and the Good Wrench machine together. I mean, two long-standing traditional families in this sport, the Earnhardts and the Pettys. And you know what? There's an 11-year-old in me that feels really good right about now.
I agree. It just resonates. And even if you don't think about it, you feel it. And it kind of makes the hair stand up, on the back of your neck a little bit. Kind of like how all of a sudden I called the 12 car Ryan Newman. Didn't even mean to do that. It just happened. I felt like I was watching a race on TV back in 2003, and the words just came out of my mouth.
Now, the QVC machine, now I can't think of what the
Bodine.
game was. What's that?
Bodine. That was the Bodine. Jeff
Okay,
Bodine.
so
drove
Jeff
the
Bodine.
QVC car.
All
Yeah.
right, so back in the day, my very first racing game on PlayStation 1 before NASCAR 99, that was my second game. But it was a game with, you could be the QVC machine or you could drive open wheel with, I want to say, one of the Andretti's. But this was the car that I first took out on a video game when I was a kid. I was probably 8 or 9. But to me, first off, QVC, who's even using QVC anymore? I mean, I know it's on. I know that there's got to be 70-year-old women here ready to make 14 payments on a purse. But QVC, for you kids at home, was Amazon once upon a time.
Yeah, QVC, HSN, Home Shopping Network. And believe it or not, those websites still do really well. In fact, if you're one of those folk that actually uses an open-air antenna, what is he talking about? Well, we can get into that another time. They actually have free QVC and HSN on antenna now, so you can still dial it up on the channel dial and call in on the phone and make an order, Dave.
Do you know why they do that? They figure if you're technologically disadvantaged enough that you're going to use an open air antenna, that you probably don't have an Amazon Prime account either.
You know what? It's smart, but it works.
There's got to be a corner of the market sitting somewhere in the hills of West Virginia.
Yes.
With somebody buying, like a purse for 13 payments of $22.23.
No, we buy like 6th gen Core i5 Dells for $2,000.
Right, but certainly not on QVC.
Oh, no, on HSN.
Oh, well, that's fair. I mean, if it's there, you know what? Maybe that's something to try to search. The next time that you can't go to sleep at night, turn on QVC.
And it was even better. Remember the overlay from back in the day that showed how many people they were on the phone with in real time?
Yes.
That's still there, too.
And that number, I can't wait. I'm going to have to go look it up because that number has got to be staggering.
Oh, I came across it one night after Hurricane, I forget what hurricane it was hit. So, all your cable and all the modern stuff was down. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to fire up this thing. Let's see if it works. And lo and behold, there was HSN.
Oh,
and
my God.
I was just shocked.
And you can buy this kitchen equipment. You can chop an onion without crying. You can find the Jack LaLanne Power Juicer for 3 easy payments of $33.33.
Or the Foreman Grill for 4 flex payments of $44.44.
Yes.
And free shipping and handling.
Go ahead and get yourself the Ronco Showtime Rotisserie. Set it and forget it.
Oh, I can't only imagine the comments of the YouTube channel right now. Oh, God.
So, listen, fun story, while I'm going to switch over here to exciting and let iRacing decide what we're watching. But fun story about the Ronco Showtime Rotisserie. So my stepdad bought one. He used to swing shifts, and he would come home late at night. And, sometimes you're still a little wired up after work. You got to unwind. And he would, at 11 o'clock at night after the news, you had infomercials on, So he buys one of these things for 3 payments of $13.33. And it gets delivered to the house, and he's ready to make some ribs. He's going to make these ribs. It's going to be delicious. He can't wait. So, and mind you, he was not like, Julia Childs in the kitchen. Okay? So he goes ahead, loads the ribs into this thing, sets it, and forgets it. Says, okay, we're good. Gets to the end, it dings, and we all go out there into the kitchen. We're ready to eat it. He goes, you know what? Let's give it 15 more minutes or so. It shouldn't be that bad. But to him, it looked like they needed cooked just a little bit more.
Fair enough.
Those 15 minutes, I think the Ronco machine turned into a cremator.
They were charred.
It was like it looked like they were pre-cremated. So my mom and I, now mind you, my mom and stepdad weren't married yet at this point. So she's trying to make him happy. I'm trying to make her happy by making him happy. And we're sitting there trying to eat these things.
Oh, no.
And as I bit into it, it was like if you ate a bunch of Oreo cookies dry. It was like black crap all over my lips and teeth.
Is your coughing saving? It's good.
It's great. And he felt so bad. He's like, guys, listen, you don't have to eat these. You don't have to eat. I went, no, it's delicious. We love it here.
Oh,
my poor mom. To this day, look, I told the story at his funeral. I mean, it was funny. Like, and from that point on, he almost never cooked again unless it was a grill. The Ronco machine went away onto a shelf he wound up having to put together down in the basement, and we called it the shelf of shit you thought you needed.
I like how he retired it and gave it a very special place in the house.
He had that, the food dehydrator, a Jack LaLanne power juicer, the food injector, or the flavor injector.
Oh, the flavor injector.
Yeah, which was
Probably
more
the
like
biggest-
sodomy for meat.
The biggest scam of the modern era.
It's
The
Nothing
juice
says-
ninja, though. The
nothing
juice
says I love
ninja-
to cook for my family quite like
Yes.
taking like a syringe and shoving it into a solid piece
Yeah.
of meat.
Yeah. Hey, Billy, watch what we're going to do with the Thanksgiving turkey this year.
And they thought it was bad when I get my whole fist up and there was some breadcrumbs.
I need a minute.
You've never put your fist inside of a turkey to stuff it? Well, while my partner tries
Leave
to
it the
gather
butterball.
himself, and I continue my streak of breaking partners, Bobby Anderson leads this piece by 1.83 seconds. He cycled himself back up into the lead. Everybody came down, got 4 tires. Pit cycle opened on about lap 50, so I guess they've decided to take my calculation and throw it completely out the window. But we may see something different here later on in the race, as now everybody is going to be on that, pit cycle. We've got, let's see, 10 laps to go this time by at the line in stage 1. So we may see everybody back on the same pit cycle after the stage break.
Know how you go from talking about high-fiving a turkey to pit stop so quickly and seamlessly.
It's
That was magical.
well, I'm not a good race car driver, and if I have to drive with a clutch, it's going to be really bad. So I just shift without a clutch.
Yeah, that was nicely done. I'm still crying over here. I got tears running down my face. Is that 18 machine still out there doing his thing? Bobby Anderson, Dave, he started inside the top 5 in that third place position. He's currently, he's carried the torch around this racetrack. He's led the most laps thus far, but look who's in that P2 position. He is doing what he does, it seems like, at any racetrack. Doesn't matter if it's a road course, short course, mile and a half. Matty Long is just sitting back there lurking. He's about 2 seconds behind the 97, but as this run continues to go on, and watch this, when we don't have to deal with those stages anymore, Matt Long will be there putting pressure on Anderson before this is all said and done. You watch and see.
Less than 10 laps to go here in stage 1, and Bobby Anderson gets loose coming out of 4. He's now got the lap car of the 88 what will be the lap car of the 88 of Michael Witt in front of him. And Michael Witt trying to hold on to that position. He doesn't want to go a lap down and wind up having to start at the end of the longest line. But, by the same token, at least to keep everybody safe out of the racetrack, sometimes it's okay to do what Witt just did, as now he gets a chance to look at the rear bumper of Bobby Anderson here as the Bristol, Tennessee native starts to look. Oh, look at this. Here in his driver info, PepsiCo, Frito-Lay, and QuickTime Media, Matt.
Quick, oh my. Now, we're talking about throwbacks back in the day. You couldn't buy an audio CD in the early 2000s without having the QuickTime Enhanced Media Player thrown in there for digital experience.
Yeah, you have to remember, kids, once upon a time, Windows didn't come with the Windows Media Player. Oh, when that
No.
came out, it was a glorious thing.
It was
Oh
like
my God, I'm
champagne
older than
rain
the
from
Windows
the
Media
heavens.
Player.
But yeah, you had to have QuickTime. Like it was QuickTime or nothing. And then all these, these music companies got smart and they wrote a deal with QuickTime Media. And then when you bought the CD, you got the player and some additional content when you popped it in the double speed CD-ROM drive with the MPEG-4 playback.
Yeah, there was nothing quite as exciting as trying to download QuickTime for about the 15th time because nobody understood that it wasn't overwriting, it was just creating new QuickTime players. And then when you opened one, they all opened.
I think they got in trouble for that too.
I can't
imagine
imagine how many gateway
somewhere.
computers were ruined by that.
I did it to mine. I'll be honest.
I mean, I was ruining computers after that with, Morpheus and what was the other one? Kazaa, LimeWire, FrostWire. I was
LimeWire.
ruining them with those. Downloading, of course, when I was downloading stuff on there, it was, of course, Bible study and things like that. It was never anything bad.
You were a horrible liar, Dave Regal.
That darn TD Jakes just got me every time with viruses.
Yep, every time. It even said you might have a virus in this file. Nope, you still downloaded it anyhow. Or just when you think you had it done, when it was at 99.9%, someone would call the house and you immediately slam your head on your desk because you forgot to dial *86 before it connected to AOL.
Oh, good Lord, yes. You know what? I don't see an AOL logo out here tonight. I'll tell you what.
I don't either.
We've got, let's see, in the B-Blaze Vintage number 15, this is almost a Miller Time look here. We still get to see that. You know what? These are some really nice throwback paint schemes. I can't wait to see the rest of the week here. And, of course, today in the race was great for me. I mean, the 9 car was dressed up like Dale Earnhardt Jr. from back in 2001. Let's see who else we have. The 94. No, what was it? The 93 I saw.
Oh, there's Steve Grissom.
Look
the
at
Cartoon
this.
Network.
Look at that in the 77 from Rich Jet. There's Scooby-Doo and Cartoon Network. Oh, that was the other one I saw. Brian Tarnowski. He's got a Cartoon Network paint scheme.
Oh, I
There's
see. I knew
Dexter and
Tarnowski
Dee Dee.
would have something cool. And those were the two. There was like 3 different Cartoon Network paint schemes from that time era. The only one we're missing is the it's like a tannish and green colored one, if I remember correctly. But nice job there by Brian sporting those colors out there tonight.
Yeah, I'm starting to try to go through some of these to see if we... RC Cola. I am not a fan.
Cola. Mark Martin there in the 38.
Look, I'll say the weird thing. I'm not a fan of RC Cola.
That is blasphemy.
I think it might be in some sections here in the South. It's like saying you don't like Sundrop in North Carolina.
I will never go to North Carolina with you if you say that. I will turn around and run.
I'll tell you what. Now, I heard this, and I haven't tried it with High Rock, but Sundrop and vodka, very good.
High Rock
if you're over
and
21.
Sundrop.
Yes. Dale
That
Earnhardt
is-
Jr. was talking about it on the Dale Jr. download, and he, because of course he is the owner of High Rock Vodka, as
Correct.
the caution flag should be flying here momentarily. But he said, listen, Amy and I were sitting around one night and we found High Rock Vodka and Sundrop to be pretty tasty.
It's like Zima from back in the day.
We'll talk about Zima on the other side of stage 1 here as Bobby Anderson brings home the green and white checkered flag. Matt Long comes in P2. Neil Pearson, Bennett Allen, Derek Heitman, Dylan Banks, Sean Rogers, Nolan Hodgson, Anthony Savignano, and Tanner Marty all going to be awarded those stage points. So that's going to be helpful for them, especially as we get later on in this race. That'll trigger wholesale pit stops, Zima. Now, I was too young as a child to consume Zima.
I was too.
But they brought it back a few years ago, and I tried it, and I don't know what my parents were thinking.
They made it seem like it was like the best thing ever. It was almost like $100 bills got taken, out of currency, the way my parents put it. I didn't think that much of it, but
It's kind of like when
IROC
they brought Pepsi Clear back. It was,
that was wrong from the get-go.
Pepsi Clear was a marketing campaign from PepsiCo that was almost as bad as New Coke. And kids, for those of you that don't know, there was a Diet Cola, there was a Diet Soda from Coca-Cola before Diet Coke. Tell us what you think it might have been.
Oh, I know that.
As we do take a quick look here at our youtube.com live chat, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Ken, Ron, Andrew St. Cour. There's MD Mac. Kyle Petty said it needed to be filled with water, stocked, and made into a fishing pond. Interesting. Amanda Price cheering on Sean Rogers. As always, Ken, Ron with us. Big Mac, of course. And Callie H is here for Nolan Hodgson in the 12. So glad to have all of you with us as always tonight. It feels like, we just have this kind of weird little family that gets together on Sunday nights and watches everybody here on the racetrack. And we're going to get a chance now to speak with Bobby Anderson, if I can pull him down on in here. Hey, Bobby, it's Matt and Dave up in the booth. You got us?
Yes, sir.
Bobby, you got that Interstate Batteries car charged up tonight, man. That thing is a rocket ship. It seems like that car is the only one on the racetrack up here from the broadcast booth that is somewhat in the racetrack. How are you able to keep this hungry flock of wolves behind you this entire that entire stage?
I don't know. I'm a little surprised how good the car was and how far out in front I was there. But track temp's very hot. Just got to keep saving tires a little bit at the beginning. And hopefully the car just kind of works on the long run.
Well, it certainly did right there. I mean, if you could replicate that, a time or two, I mean, I'm pretty sure you'd be a shoo-in for the win. But the Lady in Black does not give you that type of luxury. What do you have to do to stay ahead of the game here, even though that car is so good right now?
Just be aggressive on these restarts. I mean, I think we saw it in the race today. That's the key. And like I said, long run pace. I think the track will start cooling off here as we go along. So the aggressiveness from everybody will just keep ramping up. And hopefully I can stay out in front of it.
Well, there he is, ladies and gentlemen, your stage winner, Bobby Anderson, looking a lot like Bobby Labonte from back in the day here in Darlington, South Carolina. Look for him to be good on the long run and aggressive on that restart as we transition back to green once again. Dave, back to you.
Thank you, Matt. As always, it's always good to be able to, get a chance to talk with some of these drivers, especially mid-race, hear about how the cars are transitioning, how they're rolling through this place. As the iRacing.com pace car lights are out, we're getting ready to go back green flag racing. It's going to be Bobby Anderson, Matt Long, Bennett Allen, Derek Heitman, Dylan Banks, your restarting top 5. And folks, still waiting for somebody to answer us in the youtube.com live chat. As looks like Big Mac is watching us all. Don't forget Frosty.
Big shout out there to
Frozy
McGoney.
Root Beer. What's that? Ken Ron got us. Ken Ron just checking in here with Tab Soda. That was the diet soda of choice for the Coca-Cola Company before Diet Coke.
And it tastes so much better than Diet Coke. It's not even close. It doesn't even taste like a diet soda. That's the crazy thing about it.
When I worked at Kozer's Christmas Village between junior high and high school for 6 years, our owner, the guy who owned the company, he drank Tab by the case. He would have it delivered by our Coca-Cola delivery people, and that was his beverage of choice. And I didn't even know you could get it anywhere. He had to order it special.
Yeah, it's usually a special item only. Wow, look at that AT just fire out of the hole. Ooh, the 44 there. Rogers kind of got packed into a corner there on that restart. He seems to have escaped out clean. Big time move here. Here's coming from that Pennzoil Mobil 1 machine. Look at that 76 Heitman really eating there on the bottom, trying to make quick work there of Matt Long, and does. Remember, those are team cars, I believe. So a little more give and take, and we got problems back there by the Boeing restart sign, or the Boeing backstretch side.
But we stay green flag racing here, which is
that?
a blessing in itself.
Oh, it is.
Hey. as they are still going at it, trying to get themselves reorganized. And here's the thing. Wow, near contact as there is mayhem all over the racetrack. Here's the thing at a place like this. Because of the way that the tires fall off here at Darlington, you only have about 5 laps to make a move and get something done on those fresh tires before you've got to start going into conservation mode. I mean, Derek Heitman just laid fast time down at 29.8 even. So, as you get yourself through those 5 laps, that's when you then wind up settling in. Let's log some laps and then wait for somebody else to wear it out before you do.
Yeah, wait for someone. It's almost like being the predator or the prowler. You just wait for your prey to make a mistake or the wrong move, and you just wait for that opportunity to pose itself, and then you gracefully make your way around them. As you said, Dave, you got 5 or 6 laps to go out there on the offensive. Should you push it after that, you will pay the price, I promise you, as you are trying to hold on to that race car for the rest of the run. New fast lap now. Heitman's lap gets bested by Bennett Allen, 29.71. Those speeds still off some of the fastest laps we've seen from some of these drivers in the SNN Cup Series, and that's all attributed to that scorching track temperature, which still remains well above 100 degrees Fahrenheit, Dave.
As I'm looking at, and it's something that I saw in today's race, of course, that some of the guys are doing with the paint schemes. They're marrying, a throwback paint scheme with their existing sponsor, and here's Dalton Mobley doing pretty well with that, assignment. He definitely understood the assignment. Let's wait until he rolls here. You can see the flames coming off of the 2 that's trimmed in blue on the side panels, trimmed in red on the roof. That's a Jeff Gordon flaming DuPont paint scheme hidden by RacePI.com.
Yeah, even that 2 on the door pillar there is very Jeff Gordon-esque, as he gets a shot there from the 90 of Anthony Savignano. I don't think that was intentional, but nonetheless, that's going to move him up the hill. Side-by-side battle here, going across the start and finish line. Who's going to have the advantage here into 1 and 2? The 2 should be able to carry the momentum, but the 90 fires back, using up those Goodyears on the bottom. He is going to clear the 2, but that's what you don't want to do as far as extending the life of those tires, Dave. You don't want to do what the 90 just did.
No, that's going to cost Savignano later in this run. And I mean, for right now, he's going to get away with it. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. But as we get deeper into this race, we're going to see that affect him. And speaking of people that are affected by things happening earlier on in the race, let's take a look way back here, as I can't even see his number on there. Wait. Yeah, Chris Claude way back here, just absolutely having a struggling evening tonight. Down a lap as he trails Chris Davis in the 74. A lot of drivers seem to have gotten caught a lap down for reasons I'm not quite sure of, and it wasn't because of cautions, as now we've had a change of lead somehow that we missed.
Bennett Allen is suddenly the leader. Bennett Allen is suddenly the leader, who is out now over 0.6 of a second over the 76 of Heitman. And Bobby Anderson, 1.28 seconds back. What happened, Dave?
Well, let's see Bennett Allen make the pass. He looks to the inside of Bobby Anderson, nearly making contact, but he keeps it clean. They come down the front stretch and into 1. And Bennett Allen just able to slide right up in front of him and bring Derek Heitman along in tow. And even after a little rub of the wall, Bobby Anderson now having to hold off Derek Heitman, and Heitman nearly taking him out several times as they go fender to fender into 3. And it looks like Anderson decided to save the 18 and play this thing conservatively as they came back out onto the front stretch.
That's a big-time veteran move there from the driver of the 18. As a driver, you want to sit in there and fight, trench warfare style. But he understands the bigger picture here. You gotta ensure the life of that race car. The best way to do that is keep those tires underneath you. He backed out, gave the position to Derek Heitman, but he lives to survive another day. And that's what you have to do here at Darlington, is now that number 3, Bobby Anderson, slides back two positions, but has a strong hold on that 3rd and final podium position as he runs in 3rd. There's that 12 machine. I called him Ryan Newman earlier, and I still want to do it every time the camera pans to him. Nolan Hodson, just outside the top 10. He's in that 13th place position. Slid back a couple from where he started, but his lap times right now pretty competitive with the cars around him. Last time by was a 30.27. Certainly the fastest car inside the top 10. Dalton Mobley last time by there, Ryan Banks was a 30.52. Ryan Samuelson a 30.41. So Dalton Mobley has some speed in that 12 right now. He just needs to find the right path around the competition in front of him, as we've seen at times, going to make that pass. Oh, as he gives the two a shot.
What a shot he gave in the Alltel Wireless. That was almost Jeremy Mayfield-esque. Well, listen, Dalton Mobley letting Nolan by, as he said, just let me, go ahead before you wreck me, go ahead. Now, Alltel Wireless is something that we may have forgotten, and for starters, it was started way back in 1943 in Little Rock, Arkansas, because when I think telecommunications, I think Little Rock, absolutely. But it was a wireless telecommunications company, and it was originally the Atlantic Telenetwork, and basically it was absorbed by eventually Verizon and then AT&T. And, back in probably the mid-2000s, we had more people supporting, or not supporting, but being sponsored by wireless communications companies than any other time in NASCAR.
And this, of course, when you had the title sponsor being first, it was, Nextel with the two-way direct connect feature. That was their thing, which was then absorbed by Sprint. And somehow, some way, all those other sponsors were still allowed to present themselves as primary sponsors on a lot of different race cars. Remember, you had Singular Wireless, as you see right here, right now, by the 12 there of Hodson, Alltel, Verizon, T-Mobile, even at one point, I believe, was a secondary sponsor on a race car. But you definitely had the cellular communications boom during the golden era of NASCAR. But ever since things have decided to trend down, oh my God, someone is squirrely there. Saved it before they made contact with that inside concrete barrier. I think that was Chris Claude in the 10 that just went for a wild ride there, Dave.
It was Chris, but we stayed green flag racing. And in fact, while you were saying that, Ken Ron said, remember the Nextel phones with Direct Connect? Absolutely. I had one. Everybody at the fire company had one. And it was like walking around, first of all, as annoying as it may be to be standing in line at the grocery store with somebody talking on the phone on speakerphone, the Direct Connects were almost worse.
It was, and those things were amplified. I mean, you could hear other people talking on speakerphone, but that Direct Connect, that was like being at a Metallica concert when you were inside Walmart. Everyone heard that.
And, it was like, did you want the Coca-Cola or did you want the Pepsi? Does it really matter? Yes. It was just, it was obnoxious. Now, granted, on a work site or on a fire, on the fire ground, it was great. It was perfect. But, of course, that eventually got absorbed by Sprint, and Alltel Wireless was eventually absorbed by AT&T, which Singular Wireless also had absorbed. Now, here's your next throwback question of the day.
Hit me.
Who drove the Singular Wireless car? It was the 31.
Oh, I know that. Had some of his best career finishes and hot streaks in that car.
He did. Now, Ken Ron said the advantage of being 58 years old, I've seen it all develop. Yeah, Ron, I'm 35, and I saw the end of those things and the development of the new stuff. And, wow, the racetrack we go. Did he gain a spot? If that was Talladega, he'd be DQ'd.
Yeah, I think he gained 2 spots.
My God. But the Singular Wireless number 31, nope, Ken, you are incorrect.
The mayor.
Big Mac is wrong.
It's the mayor, Jeff Burton.
I was thinking Robbie Gordon.
No, Jeff Burton.
I thought it was Robbie Gordon, but everybody else says that it's Jeff Burton. Now I'm going to look.
The mayor.
Jeff Burton back in the day was so cool. I mean, like, you and I got the advantage to growing up when NASCAR was in, like, its absolute heyday as being popular on TV. and seeing some of these guys. Now, maybe I'm wrong here with Robbie Gordon, and I could be. Huh. Yeah, there he is, the number 31, Robbie Gordon.
Yep. Because when Burton hung it up, that's when Newman came over
Yes.
and drove the 31 car.
Yeah, you're right. All right, so I was wrong. It happens every now and then. But there it is, the singular wireless machine, Robbie Gordon. And Jeff, you know what? Back in those days, I mean, NASCAR was just so much, it was really must-see TV. And Kenron said it was Robbie. And Big Mac said the same thing. Well, at least I'm not completely wrong. But, you know, back during the day when some of these paint schemes were making their appearance, I mean, it was the heyday of NASCAR. Sunday was must-see TV during the summertime.
You know, you didn't have all the leaks on social media. You know, there was a lot more of a reason to watch, you know, the countdown to green, because you got to see all the stuff that, you know, people were talking about. You know, you may have heard, you know, texting, you know, one of your friends. This is before Facebook, all that stuff. And I really, you know, now that I sit here and think about it, Dave, I think that's part of, you know, what's taken the flame out of a lot of sports. It's social media, all these real-time updates, this, that. There's less of a reason to tune in and watch it because, you know, you're getting those news, all that information as it breaks.
Watching live television doesn't have the same, you know, pizzazz that it once did. I'm 35, I'm tired, and I watch Gutfeld the next morning while I'm doing paperwork. Or, you know, I'll watch The Daily Show the next morning while I'm at work. You know, while I'm getting stuff ready for the day and I'm trying to prep, I have that running in the background. And I mean, you know, because I can't stay up that late anymore. I'm gonna hit stop streaming tonight and almost go unconscious right here in the chair.
Exactly. Well, that's it. You know, I'm not 25 years old anymore either, but you're right there. I don't know if it's just the changing of the times, if it's technology. Caution on the racetrack. Is this going to slow things down here from Darlington, South Carolina? Once again, is Derek Heitman, Bennett Allen, Bobby Anderson, Matt Long, Sean Rogers here. Currently round out the top 5. As we take it back up to the Goodyear blimp.
I can't see what brought this out. I hear somebody explaining themselves, but I don't see anything happening almost anywhere.
Yeah, I'm hunting for it too, Dave, and I'm not seeing exactly what.
It may have been somebody who went below the line but kept it moving. Well, that's going to trigger more pit stops here as the drivers come down to lap 122. It's about 63 laps to the end of stage 2. And Derek Heitman leads us down here in the 76. He's followed by Bennett Allen, Bobby Anderson, Matt Long, Sean Rogers, Paul Hill, as they all bring it on down. And this is an interesting pit road as well. It's pretty narrow in the first segment, but then this last section here, where there's about 10 cars, it's almost like where the top 10 goes, they get a little bit wider, of course, as guys are trying to race each other down pit road, making the exit. Yeah,
pit road selection here is probably more important at this racetrack than I think than any other on the circuit. And some may feel otherwise here as Heitman actually gets beat off at pit road. I'm shocked. Look at that. Bennett Allen getting it done on pit road as he's going to win the race off. Bobby Anderson, he's going to come out of there second. Matty Long third. Derek Heitman's going to drop 3 positions in fourth. And Dave, while they're getting service done, I believe we got to step aside and pay some bills.
Yes, sir. We will be right back after these messages. I'm Dave Riegel. He's Matt Mettler, and this is Sim Racing Media.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing. Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Basket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
So hi, my name's Christy. I am a wife, a mother of 3 children. I am a sister and an aunt of lots of nieces and nephews, and I'm also a substitute teacher. So my everyday life changed by going to appointments, a lot of appointments, a lot of scans. As like during the treatment, my body just got weaker, so I wasn't as active with my children and with my husband. So I was laying on the couch a lot more. I'm an active person, and so that that just didn't sit well with me, but that's how it changed. My body was just weaker and I couldn't do the things that I used to do. So there was a lady in where I live from a local church who had heard that I had breast cancer, and she sent me a letter just reaching out for support, and she actually said that she's the one that told me about Trisha's Hope and that I should contact them, so I did. So specifically, I wasn't able to really work during my treatment or anything like that, so the grant that I was able to get helped me pay my bills, provide gas money. I was driving to and from treatments, and so it helped a lot with bills and everything. I would just say I am so grateful for Trisha's Hope and for all the people that have donated, because I don't know what I would have done without them.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic, real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $400,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Preen Garden Weed Preventer and Preen Garden Weed Preventer Plus Plant Food block weeds before they start and are safe for use around over 400 flowers, vegetables, trees, and shrubs. Best of all, they give you 3 months of freedom from weeding in just 4 easy steps. You can apply Preen anytime before or during the growing season. But since it's a weed preventer, not a weed killer, early spring is best. Here's how. Start by removing existing weeds and their roots in the area where you want to apply Preen. Sprinkle granules directly onto dry soil, mulch, or stone so that they're evenly spaced. Within 24 hours of applying, integrate the granules into the top layer of soil or mulch or stone-covered bed. Finally, water with a hose or sprinkler or a well-timed soaking rain to activate the protective weed barrier. When activated, Preen creates an invisible weed-fighting barrier just below the soil surface that targets and prevents weed seeds from sprouting and forming roots. People and pets may enter the treated area once dusts have settled and the area is thoroughly dry from watering or first rain. That's it. Now you'll have a beautiful weed-free space and 3 months to do anything but weeding. Satisfaction guaranteed. Trusted for over 50 years, Preen is America's #1 weed preventer brand with weed preventers for every type of garden.
Welcome back to Darlington Raceway here on Sim Racing Media. Dave Riegel and Matt Metler with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast Booth. You're watching the Stacy Strong Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series. Bennett Allen, your race leader right now, with about 2.3 seconds over top of Derek Heitman. Bobby Anderson running in P3. Matt Long back here in the 97 runs in P4. And that's when things start to get a little hairy. We just saw Seba Cornez stepping out and catching some of the inside wall right to the face, as we have just about 45 to go now in stage 2.
Yeah, Seba, that was some self-inflicted concrete poisoning there, as he turned 4 once again, was Calamity Corner there for that 59 TRD powered machine. And as you mentioned, took it down pit road where repairs are underway in the 59 camp. But out back to the front of this thing, Dave, look who is calling the shots. Bennett Allen in that 15 car. He is out there just taking it to him with a 2.40 second advantage on Derek Heitman, who is driving that car right now. Bennett has just come alive like some smooth Tennessee whiskey.
He does love the whiskey. The young man does. Of course, he looks out the rear end here, and you can barely see Derek Heitman. It's almost like he's a faint memory running all of that time backwards. Now we take a look here from the front side of Derek Heitman coming down the front stretch, and he can barely see Allen. Now, we're going to have to start watching some of the timing between these two drivers as we start to look at what Bennett Allen is, or what Derek Heitman is able to do as we pull up the time delta. And that's not the one. Here it is. Heitman running slow from 138 to 140, but now starting to pick up the pace a little here on lap 141. Of course, as I say that, then here on 142, he goes slower again.
I hate you.
For what?
Oh, I don't hate you. I love you, man. You've just made me lose my bearing heart about 4 times so far through 143 laps of competition. But hey, that's usually every Sunday night.
You know, here's the thing. And I love the people that we have here at Sim Racing Media. We've got a great team. But there's only a couple of you that I can really mess with. I had Daniel Paulus on Thursday night with me, and I can't break him.
He's a different animal. He really turns off the personality. Not that you can do that from a broadcast perspective, you know. But as I've done this more and more, I let more of my real self, I guess, shine through on the bike. And some of the things, I know I break you too sometimes, but some of the things you've said tonight, man, I have been just over here crying on my side of the broadcast booth as Bennett Allen has really turned it up here, especially as his track temp has come down, Dave, and I think that's why we're seeing some of those speeds starting to come up.
Yeah, track temperature is... wow, I could talk real good. Track temperature is now down to 112 degrees. Thank goodness I didn't try to do the Pledge of Allegiance. I almost said One Nation Underdog, but it's okay. Track temperature down to 112 degrees, and I mean, that's going to put a lot more grip. Hey, easy there, stay off the wall. We just painted that. So that's going to put a lot more grip into the asphalt. The other thing is these drivers are figuring out that they've got to stay off of those tar seams down the middle of the racetrack. I can only imagine, and this is just something in my little hope chest, if you will, what would happen if they resurfaced Darlington?
Ooh, well, if you remember, they did that a while ago now, and that was a hot commodity. That was a big deal, kind of almost in modern times when they resurfaced Atlanta. I don't know if we want to venture down that road. I think this track has a lot of character. It's a lot like Atlanta in the way that it destroys these tires, which makes for some really good racing on the racetrack. I'd hate to see them redo it, resurface it. Yeah, it'll definitely pick the speeds up, but who knows what it's going to do to the racing package or the racing product out there on the racing, Dave? On the racetrack, I should say.
Well, you have to remember that this place was originally built as what became NASCAR's quote-unquote first super speedway when it opened in 1950. And I mean, Harold Brasington was a retired racer, and he got to know Bill France, and they pretty much sat there, stroking each other's egos, among other things here, and thought, where can we build something big and fast? And somehow this was the brainchild of that.
Well, not only that, when this track first opened, you didn't race on the banks. That was actually a runoff area. It was basically a bunch of dirt that was piled up the side of the racetrack. Oh, is that Coca-Cola Ford Mustang just pounds the Boeing backstretch side up against the fence. But Dave, this was a flat track. But leave it to NASCAR race car drivers. They started to figure out, hey, if I go up the hill, I can carry more speed up there. And that's what kind of, today this track looks a little oddly configured. When you kind of look at this racetrack, it doesn't have that typical feel of, you have the apron and then you have that banking progression. It seems like it's all one big fishbowl. Is the 44 gets turned, then somehow snaps it back straight. Rogers. How is that car still in one piece as the caution flag comes out now working lap 150?
I'm impressed as we are under caution number 6, fifth one for cause of the evening. Let's take a look back here as Sean Rogers gathers himself back together. He's got Anthony Savignano all over the rear bumper. Savignano comes to the low side and he catches him.
He caught him and he drove right through him.
And just kept it moving. Let's take a look here and see what this looked like from his nose, because, my goodness, that had to look interesting.
I mean, he just treated him like a redheaded stepchild, point blank in broad daylight.
And there goes Sean just sideways, and Savignano has nothing to say for him as the Erie, Colorado native drives on here. He's going to come down pit road. Bennett Allen's going to lead us down for another round of pit stops. Now, Bennett Allen took the lead away from Bobby Anderson during the last round as he was able to beat him off a pit road. And so far, so good for Allen. Let's see what happens after this round of pit stops here on lap 152.
Yeah, as we see Allen and then Heitman in the 76 enter his box cleanly. You see the jack up on both of those race cars. 4 tires, a full 2 cans of Sunoco racing fuel. Heitman is not going to get beat off a pit road this time, as he's going to be the first man off. Allen going to come off a second. Anderson, Long, Pearson, I believe, is going to be the order off of pit road. But look who is up there in P1. That 93 machine of Tane Hodison stays out on the racetrack.
Yeah, as the jack comes off of the 15, he's able to beat off everybody else on pit road, as we're going to get a chance now to talk to Bennett Allen here in the 15. Hey, Bennett, it's Dave up in the booth. You got us.
What's going on, guys?
Listen, you tell us what's going on. You were able to beat off everybody on pit road before, and now here you run in P3. What say you as you sit behind Derek Heitman?
Still trying to keep my nose clean. I've had a couple weird 4Xs happen. I was trying to get around Ron there before the yellow came out, and I barely tapped him to the left rear and it gave me a 4X. I mean, like the slightest of taps. And then I got a 4X for a stack up on a restart. So right now I'm still trying to keep my nose clean. I'm still trying to figure out what the balance is going to be towards the end, so I know, how much speed I got. But so far so good. I'm enjoying Darlington. I like this track.
Yeah, it definitely shows. Now we're taking a look right now at your paint scheme. Who is your throwback paint scheme here with B-Blades Vintage and Outlier Speed on it?
This is a Mark Martin throwback. I forget the year, but it's the Eagle 1 paint scheme with my own twist on it. I met Mark Martin when I was like 8 years old at a Bass Pro Shops in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And so this year I was like, hey, I'm running a Ford now, so why not just, do a Mark Martin paint scheme, because I like him so much. So
well, it's better than when you were 8 years old if you met Mark Martin at, let's just say your local Rite Aid as he was doing a Pfizer appearance.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll put some pep in your step.
But I'm still split between which throwback I'm going to run for tomorrow night. I have a Mark Martin scheme that I've been running the last couple weeks, but I also have a patriotic Dale Jarrett paint scheme that I'm going to run at Charlotte. So I'm probably going to flip a coin for it, but we'll see.
All right, man. Well, listen, congrats here on running right now what's going to amount to P1 as we get back. Green flag racing, caution number 5 for cause, going to be in the book. So congrats, man. Good luck, and maybe we'll see you here at the end of this race on the podium.
All right, let's hope so. Thanks, guys.
Well, very calm, cool, collected, and focused Bennett Allen there in the 15. Certainly the mindset of a champion, especially one that looks to survive and take the W here in Darlington. He's going to have a lot of competition there on the outside, as Heitman, always a force to be reckoned with. He's going to have to contend with that Team Connie driver here on this restart.
Yeah, Derek Heitman, one of those drivers that we've had to keep our eye on all night long now. I just saw Chris Custer registering as having crashed, so I'm wondering what he may have pulled over for here. As maybe he just got so slow behind the field that he had to pull over and waiting to see what happened.
That Steak and Shake outside of turn 4. It's been called. Oh, look at this.
That was weird.
That was insane. Everyone was coming at speed, and they just forgot to jump on the binders.
Well, you just got to remember when it's time to get back in line, you can't come that fast, especially out of turn 4.
Yeah, not prematurely anyhow. You gotta. Finally got him back. Finally got him back. There's one for the Matty Matt tonight. Lights go out on the pace car as Davis back in his chair, gasping for air. Just how he likes it.
I'm used to... Well, let the silliness ensue. This is why we make the big money here at Sim Racing Media. Can you imagine that they think that we're the two of the best voices here? I mean, have we got them fooled?
That pace car is going to pull off. Ford on Chevy action here on the front row. Pick your poison, Allen or Heitman. As we approach the Geico restart zone. Oh, man, he went deep in the box on that one. That's going to give a clear advantage to Heitman. I don't know if he missed a shift or what happened there, but the 76 shot out of a cannon. Looking like just the flip-flop of Bennett Allen from earlier in the race there. So Chevrolet leads the way now. He's going to jump out to about a 0.4 of a second advantage over Bennett Allen. And the 97 of Matt Long was barking some serious fire up the tailpipes, but now is backed off slightly as he almost caught a piece of the wall off of 2. Or off of 3, excuse me. Yeah,
that's also here in the YouTube.com live chat saying we need the bootleggers like Junior Johnson back. Well, then I have a prediction. As somebody who lives in southeastern Pennsylvania, rather than having bootleggers because nobody's making fake alcohol anymore, we need to get drug dealers in their Hondas. And this is how we're going to save NASCAR.
Yes, drug dealers, Honda plus VTEC.
Yes. I see this. I mean, Honda's coming into the sport, reportedly.
That's what we hear.
We need to get a couple of drug dealers to start racing here on the track and soup up their Hondas just enough to beat the police. And maybe even sprinkle in a couple of the new police vehicles that have come into existence over the last 15 years.
Well, hey, then we just got to look back about 20 years to Fast and Furious. We got to put some spoon engines in those Hondas, Dave.
Amanda Price not happy with what's going on with Sean Rogers, as Rogers is running back in 10th position right now. And, you know, speaking of drug dealers and maybe the speed of which they have to do their business, and you know what, I don't want to call them drug dealers. I feel like that's an offensive term. We should call them freelance pharmacists. And, you know, I grew up just outside of Reading, Pennsylvania, of course, home of the Reading Railroad of Monopoly Board fame. And they're trying to work on restoring the rail service between Reading and Philadelphia. And one of the people at a city council meeting up there said, "Oh my goodness, if we get rail service restored back between Philadelphia and Reading, we're going to have drug dealers using the train to take the drugs back and forth from city to city." And I thought, yeah, that's just what I've always thought about seeing. A drug dealer who's on the corner that has to make the 9:53 train back to Philadelphia before he gets caught.
Well, speaking of that, Sean Rogers just railed the crap out of Sander as he took the position back. That's got to have Amanda Price with a big old smile on her face, is that 44 is now back inside the top 10, Dave, in that 9th place position.
Ken Ron saying we got to have those 3-foot-high spoilers. I'm all over it. You know what? I think we're on to something. I'm going to be writing Mike Helton a letter tomorrow, a very sternly worded letter that I think in order to get, and maybe I can get Ken Ron to co-sign it with me, that drug dealers and Hondas is the way to go for this sport.
The spoiler, I think he's talking about the one on the Superbird, right? That 3-foot wing that used to be on the back of that thing?
Yeah. That Dodge Charger Daytona with the nose on the front. Did you know they nearly were not able to run that because they hadn't sold enough of them off of the showroom floor?
Well, you know what? NASCAR made a rule, and they didn't make it good enough because they didn't think that Dodge and Chrysler would actually do it. And they did. They put the car in production, and they went out on the racetrack, and they spanked everybody. So NASCAR tried to find a way to get the car banned right then and there, but then they lowered the price down on them. They pre-advanced sold the units. That's right, pre-advanced sold the units. That's how they got around that. But then that following off season, just like the T-Rex story and the 24 team of Jeff Gordon back in the I believe it was 96 or 97 All-Star race, just like that car got canned the very next day. Upon the end of that season, no more Superbird was allowed in NASCAR competition. They outlawed that car as well.
You know, and to Richard Petty's defense, I mean, that was what drove him into, leaving NASCAR for a little while and even going to the NHRA and going drag racing.
Drag racing, which a lot of people don't know.
I was fascinated by that story that he told on a podcast probably a year or two ago. And I thought, oh my goodness, I didn't know it. I had to look it up. And I mean, he wasn't a fan of it or doing it, but, he wanted to make a statement to NASCAR and, message received.
And on the other side, think about this, though. That's one season, a whole season. Richard Petty was out of competition. We have 3 7-time champions. We got Richard Petty, Jimmy Johnson, and Dale Earnhardt Sr. Now, a lot of people argue and say if Petty never sat out that season, he very well could have had 8.
It's entirely possible, especially with that kind of a power plant underneath your ass.
Yeah, that was one heck of a Cleveland steamer he was running out there on the racetrack, that's for sure.
Amanda Price saying that Sean Rogers is ready to get back up to the top where he belongs. Ken Ron suggesting that it needs to be the spoilers that the Honda drivers think they need to keep those little things on the highway. I know.
Oh, that's a great comment.
Most of them are attached. Whoa, all but 3 wide with Sean Rogers, the meat and the sandwich, as they haul it out of turn 4. That's already been Calamity Corner. I've already seen those spoilers put in what I'm pretty sure is like regular self-tapping screws. So I could see that here. That'd be fun.
Wait a minute. Isn't Ron out there on the racetrack?
No, he is not tonight.
Oh, Ron Fitting, Ken Ron.
No, Ken Ron. Yeah, Ken Ron is not on the racetrack tonight. Ron Fitting is. In fact,
mistake.
Ron Fitting is currently running back in 26th position in that black number 3 GM Goodwrench Chevrolet, and that just feels good to say it.
It does. I was going to say, man, how is he out there running at 160, 70 miles an hour down these straightaways and actively communicating in the chat? But we've seen some of these other guys do it.
I mean, there are people that do it all week long. I see it all the time. And, as I had mentioned a moment ago, we've got 6 nights of racing right now on Sim Racing Media. Of course, tonight we're the only game in town here with SNN Cup Series action. Tomorrow at 7:30 p.m., Racers Elite with John and Rick goes live, as well as myself here at 8:30. Actually, that's the wrong time, but it's 8:30 Eastern time. For the SNN Xfinity Series, Extreme goes live at 9 with Liam and Jordan. And then 10:20 is the nightcap, Western States Racing League with Mike and Alan. Wednesday night is the Roughneck Series. Actually, it is not anymore, so Racers Elite will be on Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. I forgot to bring that up to you. As Extreme Cup Series goes live at 9 p.m. on Wednesday night with Liam and Jordan once again. Thursday, myself and Daniel Paulus Jr. will be live at 7:30 p.m. on Racers Elite. And then Friday, of course, is an off night. The next Saturday at 5:30 Eastern is Liam, Mike, and Alan for ISNF. And then Liam and Emily come back for ECR at 9 p.m. on Saturday.
Hey, we got a racked and stacked coverage here, ladies and gentlemen. Smash the like button, ring the bell, like Dave said. Come home to 6 nights of high-flying, high-octane racing action that can only be found right here on your Sim Racing Leaguer, SRM Links. Derek Heitman continues to lead. You think anyone's got anything for Heitman here over these final 100 laps or so here, Dave?
I'm sorry, I was not paying attention to you whatsoever. Try it again?
Well, that's good to know. I was saying,
still
over
love you.
this... I love you too, buddy. I said, over the next, 120 laps or so, you think anyone has anything from Heitman? You think this is his race to lose?
I don't want to say that it's his race to lose as much as it's everybody else's race to challenge him on. When Heitman gets up here and gets, nice and cranked up, he can gap this field, but we've got a long stage ahead of us here with 10 to go in stage 2. So, I think it's everybody else going to have to figure out how to wear him down.
Well, if there's anyone that knows how to wear him down, and that's because he is fired up right now, that's the driver of the 44 of Sean Rogers, who continues to rebound and just march his way back to the point, recovering from some major adversity earlier in this run, Dave. He has cracked the top 10 in that 8th place position. He runs a couple tenths behind Hill for 7th, but as you mentioned, we have to slow this race down one more time when we come to the end of stage 2. When that happens, we're going to bunch this field all back up. Look, I think that 44 will have something to say before this race is all said and done. I've been tracking his progress on the side since that incident happened, and he is out there just making moves on the racetrack. I understand that it's Darlington, but don't tell the 44 that, because he is out there putting the Hot Wheels to the pavement and making moves as he's challenging now Paul Hill for that 7th place position.
Yeah, Sean Rogers we're going to ride along with right now as he looks to the inside of Paul Hill. He's going to make the pass. He gets a crazy run on Hill as we look out the rear now. My God. As the Grease Monkey Motorsports driver Paul Hill looks on now from behind Sean Rogers. I hope he likes the view, because I don't think he's going to be seeing the front end anytime soon.
Now, that 44 has some crazy long-run pace in that race car. It's funny that he has that Hot Wheels-themed paint scheme on that ZL1 Camaro, because, that car is just FAST fast right now. That track temp continues to come down as well. Finally under 110 degrees, 109. And this is really when we're going to really start to see a big track change. That sun is setting. So now you have that peak heating coming off of that asphalt. The ambient air temperature is going to be coming down as well. I wonder if we're going to see a huge swing as that 01 Army car. Oh, I did it again. Thought I was back in 2006.
It
We're
was
not,
not
Matt.
the 01 Army car.
I'm sorry. I corrected myself.
But you were as close as you could get. Now, something that I'm curious to see here, everybody on the lead lap and then some, came down on lap 151. Does anybody try to come in early here, because we're about to have that last competition caution between stage 2 and 3?
Well, you better have some pretty big lug nuts on that race car if you're going to pull that shot here, Dave. We know how important tires are here at Darlington. That's like going let it ride at Las Vegas high stakes mode. I don't know if I'm torn. I love it. In theory, I love it, but if I put the helmet on, your tires are just so big here. Oh, speaking of big,
that was
how
almost
about
a
that
big
save?
problem.
Yeah, exactly. Right
That's
in
the
front of Bobby
76 right
Anderson.
now of Derek Heitman, now having to dice it along with Matt Long, as we were just wondering if Heitman was going to have anybody challenge him, and sure enough, there he is, Matt Long now jumping out to the race lead. Bobby Anderson and Derek Heitman going side by side now, battling it out for P2, as we're here with 3 to go at the line in stage number 2, and my God, they are mixing it up like a tossed salad. Bobby Anderson looking here to the inside one more time as we start to go down the front stretch once again as they haul it into turn 1. Bobby Anderson now getting just underneath the Conti Mobile 1 number 76 of Derek Heitman, and that Mobile 1 paint scheme, as plain as it is, it's kind of how it came into this sport once upon a time. And Mobile 1 has always managed to keep just a very plain paint scheme. We all know their colors. we could change it from Conti to mobile and nobody would be able to say, boo about it.
Well, you can say boo-hoo. It's still a good-looking paint scheme, even if it's not Mobile 1, but that's immediately what you think when you see that paint scheme. And, yeah, you can say because it's bland, but I think it's good marketing from my point of view. That Camaro, though, has fallen off of a cliff. It's almost like I wish I wouldn't have said that, because that 76 has just gone to absolute trash over the past 3 laps.
You seem to put the Kavorka on him.
I did. I mean, people think we're kidding around when we talk about the broadcaster's curse. No, that is a real thing. Now
more times than I'd like to admit to have we been on the air and just something wild comes out, during a race while we're talking about it. It's almost, whoa, there goes the 58 of Neil Pearson. He got a little bit of dirty air off of Heitman and now has to scamper back up here onto the racing surface just ahead of Dylan Banks to keep it pointed forward and the flag green as we are in the final lap of stage number 2. Derek Heitman back in third position. Matt Long wins the green and white checkered flag here. Bobby Anderson, Derek Heitman, Neil Pearson, Dylan Banks, Bennett Allen, Sean Rogers, Paul Hill, Tanner Marty, and Michael Witt, your top 10 being awarded stage points.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was the longest green flag run we've had of the day, and no surprise, Matty Long, 35 laps, gets it done at the end of stage 2. However, it's still a Team Conti driver, so at the end of the day, at the end of the stage, Conti still reigns supreme here in Darlington. But, Dave, I got to tell you, my eyes, and I know we're not supposed to play favorites up here, but I got that 44 machine circled. He's 7th place right now. Now 10 spots to the good from where he started, so he's made up all that track position and then some. 187 laps on the board. We're going to come down pit road. We're going to put four fresh Dr. Feelgoods, some salad tossing. If you're Heitman, as you said, maybe he likes to do that during his pit stops. That may help him. I don't know. You apparently have more knowledge in that department of that situation than I do. But everyone else is going to take 4 tires and fuel. We're going to come back out here. We're going to re-rack them, restack them out here on the racetrack. We're going to tear these boys loose. Green flag pit stops, if they happen, that can really shake things up. And I just think this may be setting up for one of the most wild and bizarre finishes we have ever seen in the Stacy Strong Cup Series right here at Darlington.
Yeah, Matt Long bringing the field down pit road. We'll get a chance to speak with him just after his pit stop as he's up 3 positions from where he had qualified. So he's going to slide in to pit box number 4. We're going to watch them get the jack out, pop the right sides up. They're going to drop him down in 3, 2, 1. There it goes. They run around to the left-hand side. Of course, I'm just assuming that this is what's happening. And just as they get ready to drop the left-hand side, the jack is off, and he is ready to roll down pit road, nearly beating Heitman out at the end. It looks like he's being scored P1, so Matt Long may have beat everyone off of pit road, as we're going to get a chance to talk to the Dirty South Racing driver, and I think you have him now, Matt.
Matty Long, Matt and Dave up in the Tony Trapasso Memorial booth. You got me, buddy?
Yes, sir.
Well, man, ATL is hot in Darlington right now, man. That 97 really seems to come alive over that long run. Is that how that car's, feeling from the driver's seat as well?
She's all right. I mean, I've been wrenching on it all day. I don't know. I'm running something a little bit different, something I threw together, and it seems to be, it doesn't have much short run pace. It's okay in the long run. I was way tight earlier. Now it's a little loose. So hopefully we got it dialed in here for the last stage.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, those last 10, 15 laps, that dark horse really started to come alive. You're going to restart here with the lead. What does it take to hold the rest of these guys off, including your teammates, to get the W here?
Yeah, Bobby's really fast. So it's going to be tough to hold him off, but some of these guys might get out there and burn their stuff up, and we'll come back to them. Yeah, just being smart, no mistakes. It's tough here, but yeah, that's what it'll take.
Well, there he is, ladies and gentlemen, your Stage 2 winner. Looks to outlast the competition here in the third and final phase of the race. He fires off P1 from Atlanta, Team Conti driver Matt Long. Best of luck to you the rest of the way, my friend.
And
Dave
with us
Riegel,
now,
back
a
to you.
special guest from our YouTube.com live chat, Ken Ron from Dillsburg, Pennsylvania. Not on the racetrack tonight, but he's here hanging out with us. Ken, welcome into the booth. And I seem to have scared him away. The second that I go ahead and pull Ken... there he is.
There he
Sorry
is.
about that. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it.
Ken, listen, we've seen some really good discussions going on over in the YouTube.com live chat. You know, I know that you mix, you know, that you've got some of your great drivers being, you know, Dale Sr., Cal Yarbrough, and David Pearson. You went with a couple of different eras that were kind of meeting together in those 70s years. What do you think of the driving today in NASCAR, beside the fact that you're right, it's almost like the iRock series?
The drivers today aren't anything like the past drivers because they all had to know the cars. They worked on the cars. The guys today, they just sit around like pretty boys and hop in the car and drive.
Yeah, you know, back during the era that you're talking about, I mean, sometimes they even drove the truck to the racetrack that the car was being hauled by.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they were the ones turning the wrench and actually working on the cars. The guys today, they might know the cars a little bit, but even like Dale Jr., I mean, he could work on a car, but these guys today, not so much.
Yeah, I always enjoyed the stories. You know, Kyle Petty would say that there they were in there you are riding with one of the people who became the greatest in our sport, you know, with 200 wins and then some for the Petty family. And Kyle Petty's talking about riding to the racetrack in the back of the family station wagon. That's something that doesn't happen today.
No, and then whenever a car got wrecked and they took it back to the garage, how many drivers today would you see underneath the hood, like Dale Sr. and some of the other older guys? They would get right in there and start ripping on the car.
Yeah, nowadays they stand there with their arms crossed across their chest and they're just sitting there shaking their head, no, no, no. And of course, you know, there's always somebody from Fox or NBC with a microphone ready to shove it up their nose.
Yeah, that's true. They need to keep them out of the garage area for sure.
Well, man, listen, we appreciate your time. I do appreciate the comments that you've made in the YouTube.com live chat tonight. Thank you, and we're looking forward to you tomorrow night. Now, what's going to be your paint scheme this week?
I haven't had a chance. I was away this weekend on a golf outing trip, so I haven't even turned a lap yet, so I'm not sure if I'm even going to run tomorrow night or not yet.
All right, my man. Well, listen, I'm always excited when I see we have a lot of Pennsylvanians in this league that just kind of, you know, lay real low. Yourself from Dillsburg, and of course we have, you know, Bobby Blazer occasionally, the two of you representing the 717. I mean, it's always exciting when I get to see my fellow statesmen here, so thank you.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you for the broadcast. It looks really good tonight. No flicker and no nothing. It looks really good.
Yeah, we found the problem. Well, I found the problem. So a couple of months ago, I had a computer basically crash on me, and as I was reloading everything and trying to get things back up, a malware, you know, defense program downloaded itself in that came from Windows. Go figure. And it was running in the background. I never saw it. So everything that iRacing was downloading onto my CPU, it was being scanned. So everything looked like a virus to this thing, and it was taking its time. And when it had too much stuff going on, it was trying to scan everything for viruses. It drove me nuts.
Well, I'm just glad you got it figured out because everything looks real good.
All right, my friend. Well, thank you, sir, and maybe we'll see you later this week.
All right. Thanks, Dave.
You know, Matt, it's always cool when we get to chat with different people, especially when, you know, we find another driver just standing around down on pit road.
Well, hey, the one thing I love and respect about Ken Ron is he's going to tell you how he sees it and how it is. And certainly a veteran presence here on the iRacing service. And I respect the heck out of that guy. You know, I've been on the bad side of him, too. You know, I've made some mistakes out there on the racetrack, and he snatched me up. But, hey, he told me how it was and how to fix it. And if you can earn his respect, then you've done something. Can't say enough good things about that race car driver.
Yeah, I've gotten to know a lot of cool people in this league over the years, and Ken Ron being one of them. In fact, that the paint scheme that he traditionally runs, the Isaacs. Oh, and we'll talk about that in a minute, as Anthony Savignano just registering his crash. As soon as I bring the timing tower back up, here we go. Let's watch the 90. He rubs the wall. Oh!
He just blew the Popeyes biscuits everywhere out of that car.
Oh.
Or the Red Baron biscuits, I should say. Excuse me.
I hope he had a mouth guard, and otherwise he's going to need to go visit our friends over at Aspen Dental.
Did you see the way the back of that car stood up in the air?
I did. In fact, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, perhaps that hurt. Let's see if we can get a look at this from the gyro cam of this car.
This is going to be wild.
As let's see, here it is. Here he is, holding his own.
It's almost like the car accelerates into the wall.
The engine blows halfway through. It had one last breath of life, and it just couldn't hold on to it.
No. Well, that could be as the computer's detecting that all of the spark plugs have been ejected off of the head of that engine as well.
Yeah, hockey players spit out teeth. Cars spit out spark plugs. Now, this is interesting. Dalton Mobley, Chad Sander, Rich Jett, Tane Hoddison, Keith Lawn, and Richard Pruitt all come down pit road. None of them was involved in that wreck. So the question becomes, do they think that they have a strategy that can get them through the next all but 94 laps?
Absolutely, without question. Those guys aren't going to make an uncalculated decision, just for the sake of trying to dial up a long-term or or a Hail Mary play for the win here. Those guys know what they're doing, and I'm certain there's a rhyme for the reason in that camp, Dave.
Yeah, I've always been fascinated with pit strategies. I've always been fascinated with, people like, your Andy Petrie's, your Chad Knaus's, and guys like that who are just, they're up there kind of mad scientisting their way through. I don't know if that's a word, scientisting. It sounds like it's like a weird hybrid between like titty twisting and science. The science of titty twisting? That's how they developed the Nurple.
Yes.
Scientistic.
Coming soon to a 7-Eleven near you.
The Big Gulp Nurple.
There you go. I was thinking more of a Slurpee variant myself, but hey. And I may have broke Dave.
I can't stand you right now.
What? You got me 4 times. You're still up 2 on me. There's 93 laps left.
Well, you know what the worst thing is? Alan goes around. I don't know if this is bad or good, but Alan Bergen, who I love dearly, I mean, this guy bleeds SRM blue and silver. He really does.
Loves SRM. He does. That guy is hardcore.
And when he puts somebody new with me, because for whatever reason they think this is a good idea, he warns them. It's like saying, Dave is going to touch you in certain places that are going to make you giggle. And it happens, inevitably. So I worked with Shane Lake the first time.
Okay.
And Shane, as we're, just trying to get to know each other, and before we're on the air, and like you and I do, we sit around, we BS, and for you and I, it's more like catching up because we only see each other on Sundays, which I feel terrible about, but, work schedules and real life world things step in the way. But Shane and I are sitting here and we're talking, and he goes, by the way, Alan already told me you're going to try to break me. Challenge accepted, sir.
No one ever told me that about you. The only one that I was ever warned about was Tony.
Well, and that is the one whose altar I bowed at.
And God, I went from being terrified to looking forward to working with that man every night that him and I got to spend together up here in the booth.
Do you know how sad I was when they decided that I was good with training and I didn't have to ride with Tony anymore? How sad I was that I had to go work shows alone. And then, Tony...
Taking the keister, I know.
The secret sauce for Tony and I was that my first year working for Sim Racing Media was, and this is my throwback, was that I was working WSRL. Tony at the time didn't have producer capabilities. His computer at the time just wasn't up to par. So he would be a commentator on most shows with, Frank at that time. The only show that he and I worked together was Western States. And when we were done, with my training, Tony said, you know what? I like hanging out with Dave. I love this league. I'm going to stay here. And he stayed with me for like 2 years unpaid on Western States.
That's awesome. But that was Tony. That was Tony, tried and true.
Absolutely. As we are back underway here on lap 202, before I get my emotions back, because nobody needs emotions during a race. Spinach? We don't need no sinking spinach. As the double natural of Rich Jet in that Cartoon Network paint scheme, and I'll tell you what, not only is the Cartoon Network paint scheme a throwback, but it's also a throwback to one of their old logos, and I love this thing. And I don't know if you remember, but once upon a time, Cartoon Network was like a premium channel.
Yeah, it was. You had to have like the premium cable package to have Cartoon Network. Hence the premium channel.
Yeah, thank goodness you put that out there. It was all but in Braille so I could get the feel of it.
Well, I'll tell you what. Godzilla's got Cartoon Network, and you were talking about your bag of emotions. Just pull out a frozen butterball. You'll be all happy again.
I said about, putting it in Braille so I get the feel of it. I saw a TikTok, and this thing has really stuck in my head all week long. There's a TikTok where it's say the weird thing, and then this guy comes in a very monotone delivery, just finds something strange to talk about. And one finally jumped out and grabbed me because I have a husband and wife pairing of friends that are both hearing impaired. They're both deaf. He's a firefighter, and we used to pick on him because he would show up to a fire and he drove the truck, and there were times where his foot would still be on the button that makes the siren run, and we'd all be waving at him, stop, your foot's on the button. Anyway, if you're talking to a deaf person and they sign something to you with their hands and you look away and ignore their like you don't respond to them, is that the same as leaving someone on red?
I don't know if I'm the right person you should be asking that question.
If you're talking to a blind person and they sign something to you and you make some type of like exaggerated facial gesture, is that the same as being a human emoji?
Yes.
And the worst part is I'm sitting here thinking about my friend Craig, and he's a wonderful guy. I couldn't even bring him on to interview him because he couldn't hear us. But I sat there and I thought, oh my God, for the 30 years that I've known this guy, I've been nothing but a text messenger with my hands or an emoji with my face.
I never thought about it like that, but I think you're onto something. They're always
the 17 of Eric Papineau.
I almost stopped myself from saying 17 because I thought Darrell Waltrip and I would have
You
had
almost
it right.
said Western Auto.
I almost said Western Auto.
You know what? Here, let's take a look at the 17 of Eric Papineau. Of course, it's got the Liberty University Meineke paint scheme on it.
It's close.
But the 17 is Western Auto. Of course, that was once upon a time made famous by DW.
Darrell Waltrip, that's
our,
right.
Our colleague over at Fox Sports. I like saying that, even though it's not even close to true.
See, this is
listen, and we know that Shane's paying attention. I just looked over here at the YouTube.com live chat, and stuff has just exploded.
Well, we're glad he's paying attention.
Shane, we are doing good tonight. I wish I could introduce you. It's almost like you're my work wife, but Shane is like my work mistress, is what it is.
I totally get it.
And
I totally get it.
But let's see. The Allen Experience says there are free Slurpees available on July 11th. Dave just broke me, and he's not even in the booth, says Shane. Big Mac wants to know from Shane, show us on the doll where Dave touched you.
Oh, no. We keep reading that YouTube live chat, you're going to die. I've had that open now for about 15 minutes.
The Allen Experience says he lived in an extended basic cable as a child. I've seen pictures of Allen. He couldn't fit in a cable. He looked more like the German kid from Willy Wonka stuck in the pipe. Augustus Gluck. Kenrod had 3 channels. He would have had NBC, CBS, and ABC. And he was the remote. He had to change it by hand.
That's right. Go up there and turn it, that dial to the right or left. Or did it only turn in one direction?
Big Mac just took the victory. He broke us both. Oh dear.
Gotta love McCody.
I think we've infected everybody. This is a problem.
Oh, there's your malware virus.
Here, and I thought that it was in the computer.
I didn't realize it was you.
213 laps in the books tonight. We're going to step aside and pay some bills here one final time on Sim Racing Media. I'm Dave Regal. He's Matt Metler. This is the Stacy Strong Cup Series on Sim Racing Media.
Turn on your real-time virus scan now.
Preen Garden Weed Preventer and Preen Garden Weed Preventer Plus Plant Food block weeds before they start and are safe for use around over 400 flowers, vegetables, trees, and shrubs. Best of all, they give you 3 months of freedom from weeding in just 4 easy steps. You can apply Preen anytime before or during the growing season. But since it's a weed preventer, not a weed killer, early spring is best. Here's how. Start by removing existing weeds and their roots in the area where you want to apply Preen. Sprinkle granules directly onto dry soil, mulch, or stone so that they're evenly spaced. Within 24 hours of applying, integrate the granules into the top layer of soil or mulch or stone-covered bed. Finally, water with a hose or sprinkler or a well-timed soaking rain to activate the protective weed barrier. When activated, Preen creates an invisible weed-fighting barrier just below the soil surface that targets and prevents weed seeds from sprouting and forming roots. People and pets may enter the treated area once dusts have settled and the area is thoroughly dry from watering or first rain. That's it. Now you'll have a beautiful weed-free space and 3 months to do anything but weeding. Satisfaction guaranteed. Trusted for over 50 years, Preen is America's #1 weed preventer brand with weed preventers for every type of garden.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $400,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
So hi, my name's Christy. I am a wife, a mother of 3 children. I am a sister and an aunt of lots of nieces and nephews, and I'm also a substitute teacher. So my everyday life changed by going to appointments, a lot of appointments, a lot of scans. As like during the treatment, my body just got weaker, so I wasn't as active with my children and with my husband. So I was laying on the couch a lot more. I'm an active person, and so that just didn't sit well with me, but that's how it changed. My body was just weaker, and I couldn't do the things that I used to do. So there was a lady in where I live from a local church who had heard that I had breast cancer, and she sent me a letter just reaching out for support, and she actually said that she's the one that told me about Trisha's Hope and that I should contact them, so I did. So specifically, I wasn't able to really work during my treatment or anything like that, so the grant that I was able to get helped me pay my bills, provide gas money. I was driving to and from treatments, and so it helped a lot with bills and everything. I would just say I am so grateful for Trisha's Hope and for all the people that have donated, because I don't know what I would have done without them.
Basket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on. Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Trish on the bottom.
Bouchard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Apromitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Welcome back to Darlington Raceway, where we are still under green here as I thought we were going to go under caution, but Brian Tarnowski involved in a little kerfuffle here just a few moments ago. We see him rubbing the wall up here. He gets John Wilco underneath and just gets his clock cleaned. It wasn't intentional. He stays off the racing surface, which is what kept us green. Dave Regal and Matt Metler with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight over here in the YouTube.com live chat. Looks like things have gotten a little sideways here thanks to Big Mac, Shane Lake, and the Allen Experience. So thank you guys for keeping it lively for us. And no, Big Mac, I don't think that was the beef.
Big Mac and beef all in the same sentence.
Well, that's fair. I'm kind of thinking Burger King right now, except they have that weird Impossible Whopper, and quite frankly, that just sounds impossible.
Oh, there's a rabbit hole we could go down if we had the time.
Well, we've got another, 60 laps here at the line. If being a vegetarian is so healthy, how comes they're always trying to make our food taste like, or their food taste like our food?
I think that's more of they're targeting us with that, not so much them.
Oh, trying to bring us over to their side?
Exactly.
No, vegetables are what my food eats. Somebody once offered me some asparagus, and I said, for what? Do I hit somebody with it? What am I supposed to do with it?
Do I hit somebody? No, it's not the magic stick, Dave.
If I was ever, out and about and somebody was like, oh, we're, if a group of people said, hey, we're going to get together and go to some restaurant. Oh, okay. Is it new? Yeah, it's new. Just came into town. Oh, and we walked in and they said, we have a vegetarian menu. I'd say you have lost a customer.
Yes, we know you love your beef.
Beef, pork, whatever. As long as it used to make a noise, that's fine by me. And as long as that noise wasn't a rustling in the wind as the combine collected it. And it even reflects on my whiskey choices as chicken cock whiskey came into my life, and now I even get to drink chicken cock whiskey.
That was like one of our pinnacle moments live on air.
That was the first break.
That was the first big break. That was like a Category 5 hurricane.
Well, you put a couple of 12-year-olds into a broadcast booth, and you put that out in front of you.
I mean, that was some of the best broadcast eye candy I've ever seen to date.
And I've never seen it since.
I haven't either.
It just lives in the annals of our memories. Annals of our memories.
Oh, it lives on my YouTube channel. Oh, this is true. So does Tony's cat, by the way, which I'll share that. Which I'll share that with you after we wrap up.
Tony's cat is almost more legendary than he was. Matt Long, our race leader, driving the 97 out of Atlanta, Georgia, all the way to the front of the pack. He's got Derek Heitman in tow. Bobby Anderson now about a second and 3/4 behind. We're starting to see some of this race string itself out as side-by-side goes Neil Pearson and Bennett Allen. Bennett's starting to melt back through the standings, so obviously Bennett has more of a short-run car tonight, as here on the long run, he definitely fades away like a memory.
And as he may fade like a memory, look who's coming like a hot flamethrower behind him. That Hot Wheels-inspired paint scheme of Sean Rogers in the 44. Dave, he is inside the top 5 now, just 0.3 of a second behind the 15 of Bennett Allen and closing fast.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of these drivers tonight are at a point in their race where they've made their bed. Now it's time to lay in it. Many of them at this point can't really, make too many more adjustments, as most of them came down on lap 187. I see Sander, Pruitt, Hodison all down on 198, 199 for Chris Claude. And Claude here has gotten himself back up onto the lead lap. He's the last car on the lead lap, so 17 of those cars out on track right now. And Chris Claude now looks to the rearview mirror and sees Matt Long getting ready to run him down. As we take a look here from the nose of Matt Long, we can see that sun's starting to set here to the west of the racetrack. That's going to have some effect here on our weather as we've been watching that track temperature drop down degree by degree over the course of this race.
Yeah, now it's almost at 100 degrees, which to some of you drivers, you still think that's hot. Well, you have no idea what it was at when this thing initially took the green flag. It was almost 130 degrees. Go on board now, as Dave mentioned, looking out the front of Matt Long's 97 Dark Horse Ford Mustang here on the racetrack, and you can see those signature Home Depot colors getting brighter and more vivid in the shot. That is the 10 of Chris Claude, and look at just how quick Matt Long is getting around this place. As now we go on board, and look at this closing speed out of Matt Long. He just got going around the 10.
Yeah, obviously he felt like Chris was going to hold him up, and Chris just got out of the way. And when it comes to a driver on the racetrack, and I've called Chris Mr. Consistency for years now, Chris has got to be one of the most courteous drivers on the racetrack as well, alongside of my friend Tony Burt. And in fact, I want to make sure that we give a shout out to Tony Burt tonight, because of course he has been out of the race car for several weeks now, dealing with what was quite a serious medical issue with his driving foot. Apparently you drive with both feet anyway, but still, as now Matt Long going to come down pit road, this could be the money stop for him as he's able to hold things out ever so gently. That's going to allow Chris to quick get that lap back that he just had. So hopefully he can get around and credit himself a lap. Maybe a caution comes out here and he can get back on the lead lap comfortably. But Tony Burt, one of the greatest people that I've ever met here on the iRacing.com servers, still recovering from that surgery on his foot. So, Tony, we're thinking of you, and I can't wait to see the 4-car out here on the racetrack soon.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers with him, and, as you mentioned, legendary on the iRacing servers, and certainly a long-time name in force here in the Stacy Strong Cup Series. Can't wait to have you back out there, man. Hope you're doing well. And, we always said, we always associate Forever with Kevin Harvick. But if you race in this series, you associate the 4 with Tony Burt. As we watch Matt Long now come off of pit road, that money stop completed on that Ignite wireless machine. Let's see if he's going to let this 97 rip tater chip, Cletus McFarland style here in these closing laps. As now his teammate, Heitman, got the jack up on the car. You see it come down as everyone, come one, come all, it seems, here at Darlington.
Yeah, as Heitman rolls off of pit road there after the jack comes out, now we take a look right here as, where did the menu go? There it is, Attain Hodison here in the 93. He's kind of in an interesting paint scheme tonight. In fact, I want to take a peek at it a little closer here because I've not seen this one. For the Moza Racing, I'm not sure what this paint scheme is supposed to throw back to. It's almost a petty blue.
Scott.
What's that?
I promise you it's Wendell Scott.
That is really thrown back.
Yeah, that's you can tell by the colors on that race car where that rating is on the hood. That would reference usually the cubic inches of the engine, if I remember correctly. And that Richard Petty blue is really time period. You're going back here a long time, but I'm 99.9% certain that that's paying respect there to Wendell Scott with those colors on that race car.
Well, then that means that Tane Hodison is one of those people that really enjoys the history of our sport. And I've been talking about it for, months now. That, I love the history of sports. I love to know where we come from because it's interesting to see where we're going as a sport, whether it's NASCAR, baseball, or football. And, baseball, of course, has a very long recorded history. NASCAR has somewhat of a cloudy history. And, whoa, there goes the 17 of Eric Papineau. Sideways, and we are under caution for the 7th time for cause tonight. Let's see what happened with Eric Papineau, as that's going to buy some time for some of the drivers that were down a lap, got it back.
Sorry.
Oh, wow.
No, I said hold the brake.
Hold the brake he did, as here comes Papineau. Oh, Tarnowski came down in front of him, and Papineau didn't give him enough room.
Yeah, Papineau, popped him unintentionally. He think he was on a fresh, oh my God, now I can't talk, a fresh set of shoes there. And he really had a run on Tarnowski. And Tarnowski came down, and they were kind of both going for the same piece of real estate. And boom, went the proverbial dynamite. And here we are under a late caution. This is going to shake things up just a little bit, Dave.
Yeah, drivers like Chris Claude that I was just talking about, if, say, for instance, he got that lap back after the leaders came down pit road, that was almost a weird net code situation, too.
Yeah, the way the 17 kind of hooked back.
But now some of those drivers, especially like Chris Claude, who, we're pretty far back, now running in 19th position, so he's going to retain that positioning so far. He doesn't have to, oh no, he is going to have to come back around.
Yes, he is.
Oh, that's a shame. I thought the caution had come out after he got his lap back, but I guess not.
I thought he had gotten his lap back there too, but not the case. But nonetheless, I mean, Chris Claude just finds ways to defy the odds and dig himself back from, unfortunate situations out there on the racetrack. I mean,
McConville said, "It's okay, words are hard." That's my boy from Cape May.
Hey, at least we know these guys are paying attention there in the YouTube chat. So, hey, I'm all about it.
I say he's from Cape May, and McConville's cool people. I love him. And, I've always been fascinated with the people on an airplane. Have you ever fallen asleep on an airplane and you wake up and you're like mid-flight somewhere around 36,000 feet, and there's always somebody looking out the window to look outside as if they know where the hell they are?
Yeah. I do this all the time.
Yeah, oh, look, there's Jenny's house. It's down there. See that with the 8675309? There it is.
They got their phone out. They're taking pictures and they're pointing to their kids like they know exactly what's going on. Yeah.
I'll tell you this. I fell asleep on a flight coming back from somewhere. I forget whether it was Florida or South Carolina. I fell asleep on a flight. I woke up as we were in, getting ready for the initial descent. Now, flights coming from the south, at least from Florida or South Carolina, they go out over the ocean at one point to make the point in toward Philadelphia. I woke up just in time, and I happened to glance out the window to see if it was light out yet, because it was just about that time. And I looked down, and the only thing that I could see was literally Cape May. And for the first time in my entire life, I thought, oh my God, I know where we are. In an airplane, Cape May. And I thought, okay, now maybe that's what people really look out the window to see every now and then. But other than that, never. You can't, there's no lines telling you what county you're looking down on.
I mean, I don't even know if the pilots have. Well, maybe they do, but.
Yeah, there's road signs up in the air.
Yeah, exactly. The average Joe Schmo has no idea.
Like for those of us that play Flight Simulator, they've always got like the markers that are out in front of you if you have those turned on. Those don't exist in real life, folks.
No, that's only in the simulator.
That's why when I go on like a Spirit flight, I never pay to sit alongside of a window special or anything like that.
If you're on a Spirit flight, if you're on a Spirit flight, you're probably not sitting that much anyhow.
No, for me, I'm usually crammed in and just holding on for dear life.
That's my point.
And at my size, they usually ask people like me to get out and help push to get the aircraft moving. To save money, they don't use those little tugs. They use 6 fat people.
They use Dave Regal. That's how he gets his 5 little bottles of Kahlua.
That's exactly right. As the iRacing.com pace car makes the dive down pit road here on lap 253, it'll be 254 when Barney waves the flag. He does, and we are back underway now here in the Stacy Strong Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series. Bobby Anderson with the lead. He's got Matt Long in tow. Neil Pearson goes side by side now with Derek Heitman, as Heitman going to slide in behind Pearson and ride along for a little while. We can see Bennett Allen just came down on 250, so he's got those fresh shoes. I'm going to be curious to see whether or not Bennett Allen tries to save things for the end of this race or climb up here and burn it apart.
I'm going to say he's going to go for the gusto here. Bennett Allen, that green flag back in the air. It's late in the race. He's going to go for it. And you can see now, I mean, he's literally in the business end of Witt there in the 88 as he turns into the high side of the racetrack. Ooh, big smoke show in front of him. Oh, he's doing the dance.
Oh, wow, there goes the 88.
That's going to be a caution. Or it should
Nope.
be. No, he's
Nope,
going.
he stays just low enough.
Great. And I can't say this enough. What situational awareness there by Michael Witt to realize where he was, grab a gear, and get that Camaro rolling to keep the green flag in the air as he got yeeted.
I'm going to run this back here because I'll tell you what, yeeted is probably an understatement for Michael Witt right now. As we run this back and see just exactly what happened, it looks like he and the 15 came together here at what one could only assume would be the worst possible moment as we look from above here from the blimp. Here it is. He just simply bumps into him, and the ricochet causes him to go down and hit that inside wall.
It was right at that point of the racetrack where that car is loaded up, and you seen Witt there previously got loose a little bit down on the bottom. You seen him wiggle, and he just came up into the 15 at the right time, and he spit him out. You know, spit him right out of his mouth. I mean, right down the racetrack, goes for a slide, spins around, but how about Michael Witt with the heads up inside the race car there, just grabbing a gear, putting the hammer down, and getting rolling again. As here comes Sean Rogers now in that Hot Wheels car. He was as high as 5th before that last caution sequence. Now he resides in that 7th place position. But he has a big-time battle in front of him, which is going to allow him to close right back on the back of that dent slayer. Hopefully he won't have to utilize those services here. As now Rogers peeks down to the inside, thought about it, pulls back up in line, decides he's going to live to fight another day. But that 44 is fast right now. In fact, he's running some of his fastest laps of the race, Dave, a 29.47 for the 44 last time by.
And 29.21 was just laid by Bennett Allen right after that incident with Michael Witt. This is my favorite racetrack to watch somebody go through 1 and 2 because it's a double dip. We go right down here against the white line, drift up against the wall, you burp the throttle one more time, come back down against the white line again, and then hammer coming out of 2. I mean, that is just so unique. You never see that anywhere else in NASCAR.
I'm not going to lie. I used to hate this racetrack. I would avoid it like the plague until my first start here in the SNN Cup Series. And I was like, I will figure this place out. I will not look like an idiot out there. And I forget who it was that I was following along in practice. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try to do this slide deal because, you know, like you said, you don't do that anywhere else. And watching these cars take off from that white line and then do the icky shuffle up there to the top of the racetrack and then come back down, everything was telling me that's just going to make you burn your tires up. Well, once I figured out how to do that, I instantly completely fell in love with this place. And now it's like in my top 3. But funny you mentioned that, Dave, because before my first start here in the SNN Cup Series, I dreaded this place. I could not stand to turn a lap here.
Yeah, and to your point, my first start in this league was in the Truck Series several years ago now. And somehow I got involved in this league, and it was, my first race in a league, period, on the iRacing servers was here at Darlington. I think I got about 57 laps in before just destroying the truck. Taking a look at our YouTube.com live chat, things still being pretty active here. Looks like McConville's keeping things alive as he's in here chatting about, the pilots know where they are. Reindeer Crossing, of course. That could be a sign that's up there, and Ken Ron clarifying that it's autopilot and they technically do fly blind. Alan makes a reasonable point. He wants to see what they might hit in an airplane.
It might hit.
Spirit is the only airline to take off when ATC says not to. That's accurate.
That is very true.
Yep, you're not clear. Where are you going? We've got stuff to go do. I've never been late.
And if you want the overseas version of Spirit, you have Ryanair for that.
That's fair. Actually, no, I lie. I had out of all the flights that I've ever taken on Spirit, I've only been delayed once. It was coming back from Miami last year. We were delayed by like 3 hours, and I didn't care. I mean, there was a bar. I was fine.
You were good to go.
They always put the alcohol right near the gate for Spirit. I almost missed my flight down to spring training earlier this year because I sat down at Chickies and Pete's here in Philadelphia, and I got some wings, I got some beer, and more beer, and some more beer, and next thing you know, I looked up, I was like, holy crap, we're about to board.
It's all, you know what? Sometimes when you fly, and at one point in time in my life, I flew a lot. When you hit it right like that, and you're waking up in the morning and you're dreading sitting at the airport for all those hours. And when you get lucky and you show up there to the airport bar, or coming out of Buffalo, it was Duff's inside the airport. And, if you meet somebody, have a good conversation, you start throwing back a couple bottles, whatever, and then you look up and you got 15 minutes to board. I mean, you feel like you just,
You just beat the system.
Exactly. You just beat the system. And then other times, it wouldn't work, and it just disrupted the flow of your day. But anytime, one of my trips took off like that, it was always a great time. Is what in the world is the 6 doing?
He must have heard that there was alcohol.
Clearly.
But, and it's funny, at the airport coming home from Miami, I had my laptop, the Phillies were on, it was playoff season, and, they said, oh, we're going to be late by a couple hours. I'm like, all right, whatever. I was lucky enough to find a spot on the floor to stretch my legs out, plug my laptop in, and I could watch the Phillies lose. As we see, this caution was brought to you by Rafael Rodriguez. He was the first car registered as having crashed. Here he is in the 60, all by his lonesome, rolling through 3 and 4. As he comes out of 4, he locked him up. I don't know what happened.
Maybe he had a brake pedal failure or an issue with his driver for his steering wheel, maybe. I don't know, but that just looked odd.
I'm going to look here from our gyro cam, and let's just see. He wasn't involved in anything too nasty tonight. Well, hopefully we find out what happened.
Comes to a stop there on the racetrack.
Which brings out a caution after he passed pit road. I can't even explain this one. And then just after that, right before the caution came out, Tarnowski had something happen as he's here in the 28 just behind Chris Claude. And he just yeeted into the wall.
Did you see the way that the wheel lock on that car just hammered hard left?
Almost the exact same as what happened with Rodriguez. Let's see.
That looked like some type of hardware failure. Yeah.
It could be for both of them.
I mean, that wheel just went all the way to hard left lock.
Yep.
Look
there
at that.
It is.
Yep.
That's a hardware failure. And Brian Tarnowski in Race Radio now explaining to everyone that everything just went and locked up.
The really interesting thing was immediately when it happened, he went down a gear and it just redlined right out.
I have no idea, but he and Rodriguez, and oddly enough, I think, and let's see how good I am at memorizing these things. Here's Rodriguez. Let's pull this up. Nope, not the same one. Sorry, just kidding. In fact, maybe it's something that we didn't see from Rodriguez during his incident here. I don't remember seeing his hands.
Neither do I, but
let's watch. No, this was under control. Well, I hope everything's okay with Rafael Rodriguez because he has now jumped out of the car.
Yeah, he is gone. He is at the airport and checking out a Dodge here.
Now, it looks like everybody's all bundled back up here. Neil Pearson, your race leader behind the iRacing.com pace car, with now 23 laps to go. It'll be 23 when we come back going green flag racing. It's going to be Pearson, Heitman, Long, Anderson, Hodgson, Bennett Allen, Sean Rogers, Paul Hill, Tanner Marty, and Tane Hodison, your top 10.
Pace car is going to pull off here. Pearson's going to restart here from the high line. Heitman on the front row here with him. Let's see if he plays some restart games here. When is he going to go in the restart zone? Now he's going to fire off. Great restart there. Heitman hangs with him. He is not going to clear the 76 just yet. Now Heitman gets a great run as he kind of dips below that white line, or that perforated white line. But here comes the 58 with a big run off the top shelf where Mama hides the cookies. Heitman is not giving up, though. He has got that Camaro to the floor, side by side into the 3 and 4 complex. Here comes the 18 of Anderson. He's looking to the inside of Matty Long.
It is all kinds of mayhem back here as we take a look from Bennett Allen's perspective right now. And Bennett Allen, running in 6th position, sees nothing but mess in front of him. He's waiting for someone to make a mistake, and unfortunately in this grouping of cars, they aren't going to be making mistakes. Woof. As Sean Rogers may have just served him a little lunch. A little snack.
He slapped him with some salami.
He did. He woof with that bar-esque stuff, too. It wasn't good salami.
Oh, God.
As now we look to Paul Hill, Neil Pearson just laid fast time. He's almost at the 28-second mark. So to your point from earlier, Matt, I mean, now with this track temperature dipping down to where it is right now at 97 degrees, we're starting to see those speeds come up.
Yeah, 29.04. That's, where I expect, a lot of these guys to run, especially when you don't have, track conditions as if we were running or racing on the planet Mercury, per se, as we were earlier today. But Pearson is really starting to check out now. Hopefully, only 20 laps to go. That's not a lot of time left on the clock, but is he using up too much Goodyear? Here comes the 76 of Heitman closing in on the back, but while he does that, he has got a mirror full of Bobby Anderson in that Bobby Labonte throwback paint scheme, Dave.
We do have an update here from PDS International. Of course, that's Rafael Rodriguez. He said that his VR disconnected and he had to pull over. So obviously, big deal here. As that's unfortunate. I've always been curious. First of all, I've never raced in VR. I would still like to try it, but obviously that's what happens when the VR disconnects. And he did the right thing. He got out of the way and did what he needed to do. To keep things from going bad here on the racetrack for everybody else. So good move from Rafael Rodriguez to get out of the way before bad things happened.
Yeah, plus he did that blind, so even more props to him for, look at that.
Wow.
Wow.
Bobby Anderson just smacked the back end of the 76 of Derek Heitman.
He just went up there and boinked him.
And here comes Heitman, retribution in order now, as these 3 cars are going to be bumping and banging into 1 and 2. Oddly enough, and I rarely say it, Bennett Allen just staying out of the way because he doesn't want bad things to happen to the 15.
As he does that, he has to sacrifice a little bit of a Darlington stripe there. But who was that just went flying off of the racetrack?
Derek Heitman just hauled it down off of the racetrack. I guess he's had enough. As he's going to come down here, let's just see from the blimp what happened. It happened to be floating just nearby.
He got out of there quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Watch the 76. The 76 just says, screw it, and comes down pit road.
What happened to that Team Connie driver? He's just not going to pull off the racetrack like that with 15 laps to go. That he just doesn't do that.
Derek Heitman now coming down pit road, now coming off of pit road. Oh, he may have had a pass-through if that was 17X.
Oh, did he point out?
Oh, no.
I forgot about the Dairy Queen award.
Well, it was just the pass-through, but he's got to be...
He got the
has to
soft
be
serve.
angrier than a Keebler Elf getting demoted to Fudge Packer. Oh, there goes the 29 sideways. Tanner Marty pirouetting down the front stretch, just coming into turn number 1. Oh, no. Let's watch this from above as Tanner Marty was just over top of Sean. Oh, Sean Rogers just got him. Who are the people in your neighborhood, Mr. Rogers, as he just cleaned the clock of the 29.
Marty got tanned by the 44.
I also just realized that who are the people in your neighborhood is Sesame Street, not Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers.
Well, now I feel bad.
Well, maybe you can cue that up for a backing track as we bring him back to green.
Don't you dare tempt me.
I know you would do it.
I subscribe very heavily to the Fred Rogers school of thought and feelings. The Allen Experience got pegged hard by the 18. What in the world?
What? The Allen Experience.
I just peeked back. Oh.
Oh, I know what they're talking about. Interesting. We had some takers on pit road.
Rafael Rodriguez, understanding or appreciating us for understanding what was going on. And then, of course, we saw the 76 of Heitman come down, and the Allen Experience said that perhaps the 76 got pegged hard by, or I'm sorry, the fun meter may have been pegged. Then Big Mac says that the Allen Experience got pegged hard by the 18. It's entirely possible. He drinks Anheuser-Busch.
You tried to be cute there, didn't you?
Just saying.
Well, how about this? I know it's not the Silver Fox from back in the day, but here is Pearson, the Neil version, out here with the lead, Dave. But there were some cars that peeled off down pit road, and something tells me they probably put on a new set of shoes. Do they have enough time when we go back to green, which should be about 10 laps to go or so?
This is going to be an interesting decision because it's going to take about 4 or 4.5 laps to get those tires up to temperature. As now those cars that have taken those tires, we're going to watch and see who it is. Heitman, Davis, Claude, Wilco, Fitting, Cornez, and Jet. So most of them are down laps. But Fresh Tire Brigade goes to Matt Long, Paul Hill, and everybody down through Tanner Marty in 16th position. So the guys up here in the top 5, they're basically sitting ducks with slightly older tires than those just behind them. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight here on the YouTube.com live chat as we're here with the Stacy Strong Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series right here on Sim Racing Media. Dave Regal and Matt Metler bringing you all of the action from the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. And Matt, listen, with 11 laps to go, it should be about 9 when we go back green flag racing. The race is really only just starting.
That's such a true statement. It's been about basically just survival since the going way back to the drop of the initial green flag. Did you make the right decisions? Were you patient out there on the racetrack? Did you survive the carnage to be alive right now for Neil Pearson, Anderson, Hodgson, Santer, Rogers, Long, Hill, and we'll throw Bennett Allen in the mix there as well, too, in that 8th place position. These guys did. They put themselves in the right position. Now we're going to have an old school Saturday night short track shootout style all-out trench warfare here on the racetrack for the dub, and it's about to get good. So make sure Grandma's got plenty of kernel-free popcorn. She's got a premium malt beverage, and make sure she's strapped in, ready to rock and roll, because it's about to get spicy here on this restart. I can assure you of that, Dave.
Absolutely. As they come out of turn 2 and come down the backstretch, these drivers have worked all night long to get themselves to where they are. The iRacing.com pace car now slowly creeps its way on by toward turn number 3, bringing up the rear of the field. In that Team Conti number 1, going to be Derek Heitman, as he's definitely frustrated tonight after the run that he had going on earlier. So the iRacing.com pace car sees the entrance to pit road, takes that run, and Pearson going to have control of the field. We'll ride along here with Bobby Anderson as we get ready to go back green flag racing. Pearson opts for the high side, hits the Geico restart zone, and we're back underway.
What a restart there by Pearson as he gets the best out of Bobby Anderson, who is going to have to slot in behind the Southwell Chevrolet Camaro as they have it up to 5th gear, and they are ripping. Dave, we should see the fastest laps of the race here over the next 9 laps. Pearson continues to have about a 2/10 advantage over the 18 of Anderson, who has entrenched himself in that second place position. In fact, it's a 2-car breakaway before the Hornet's Nest. Caution back on the racetrack.
Caution flag coming out, and Bennett Allen is registering as having crashed. John Wilco the same way. Let's see what happened with Bennett, as it looks like Bennett just got moved out of the way by Eric Papineau. Oh, Papineau is blinking in and out. I'm going to run this one back just a little bit further because, folks, we've talked about, connection issues, of course, from our perspective here on Sim Racing Media, and now it looks like it may have been the other way. As we go back here just above the racetrack, we can see the 17 of Papineau blinking out behind the 93, now blinking out underneath the 15. And perhaps on the 15 screen, he didn't see Papineau come in, blink back in as he took the hit.
I think that's exactly what happened. He went ghost mode. He had no idea he was there until it was too late.
Now we take a look and see what happened with John Wilco after the call.
Oh. Hopefully you bought the extended warranty there with your QVC purchase, because you're going to need to redeem it.
Just $5.99 a year.
And the rest of your life.
Yeah, pretty much. God, the QVC thing really just takes me back.
It does. I remember when I was really young growing up, my aunt used to have that channel on. Dave, I'm not kidding, 24 hours a day. 7 days a week. The only time it got shut off, Christmas Day. That was it.
Yeah, that's when she put the Yule log on TV. Quick, let's watch this fireplace.
How did you know?
Because I had the Yule log on at our house. I mean, my dad was, oh, look, we don't have a fireplace, but we can on our television. Thanks, Dad.
Yes.
This doesn't say that we have no lives.
You didn't happen to have the one that blew heat, did you?
No. That was a completely different thing.
Okay.
No, we had the one that was like, I guess it was at the mayor's mansion in New York from it was recorded in the 70s or something. I don't remember. It was stupid. The worst part is I say that it was stupid, but here as an adult, if you go over onto Netflix, you can get the Fireside log right here in your living room. No music. You can set your own if you'd like. But just watch a log burn on your TV.
Hey, Ren and Stimpy said it best. It's log.
Oh, my goodness. Speaking
Everyone
of
loves a
week,
log. There you go.
And Powdered Toast Man.
Was full of vitamin F. No further comment required. I was very quick with that one, wasn't I?
Ooh, that you got me. Filled with vitamin F.
Well, now we're even on the board.
I love Sunday nights. We've got racing. We've got jocularity. I didn't say jacularity. That's different.
I know.
And we're online, so we ejacularity.
Oh, God.
As Big Mac saying, Whit and Allen side by side, they had a run in earlier. FGD 5604 cheering on Nolan Hodgson. And FGD 5604 said they just won a $450 parlay On Prize Picks, about to buy land in the metaverse. I don't think you should. Ken Ron saying that he thinks it's the iRacing servers causing the blinking. And you know what? Big Mac's not wrong ever since the rain update. And Ken Ron and Big Mac are saying the same thing.
I take
Now,
their word for it.
Ken Ron saying he thought Beavis and Butthead scheme would have shown up tonight. Oh, my goodness. Mike Judge. Okay. What show was technically a spin-off of Beavis and Butthead? And by the way, I see the Allen experience. The last message that he has in the live chat is watch a log burn and grab a Budweiser. I'd rather grab a burning log instead of grab a Budweiser.
Grab a burning log.
It's an STD. What show was a spin-off of Beavis and Butthead?
That I can say I don't know.
King of the Hill.
I really didn't get a lot of time for Beavis back in the day.
That is true. King of the Hill.
Is it really?
The neighbor that Beavis and Butthead were always messing with. In the Fisher, in the white, bucket hat. That was Hank.
That always talked about propane.
Well, I don't know what he talked about. I just remember.
Whoa!
You guys next door just keep ruining everything in this neighborhood. It was that was Hank.
I think that was the propane guy.
Well, there you go. Side by side they go. Dylan Banks, 4 laps to go. Neil Pearson with control of the race. Bobby Anderson and Nolan Hodgson running 1, 2, 3. Chad Sander holding down 4th with Matt Long, rounding out your top 5. Side by side, though, is the 88, and he's down some. So I don't know why they're duking it out the way that they are, but bad things are going to break out there if they aren't careful. With now 3 laps to go, the 76 of Derek Heitman just gets himself around Richard Pruitt and puts Michael Witt in the 88 in his crosshairs. And Neil Pearson just finally broke the 28-second barrier. Popsicle sticks in the air. We're 2 to go.
And he blew it in the air at 28.74. And he is checking out. He has hit the afterburners. Now almost a full second advantage over the 12 of Hodson. Coming through the 3 and 4 complex here for the second to final time. Dave, as he comes back around, he's going to take the white flag. We're racing back to checkers or wreckers at the line. Doesn't look to be the case, as Pearson has just put this car on another planet as far as performance is concerned. He is just checking out of the neighborhood.
Pearson is absolutely commanding this race as he comes through turns 3 and 4. We watch him come out of turn 4, goes back to the start-finish line, and Neil Pearson from Australia crosses the line first and captures the checkered flag. He's joined on the podium by Nolan Hodgson and Bobby Anderson. Matt Long finishes 4th. Chad Sander, Sean Rogers, Dylan Banks, Paul Hill, Eric Papineau, and Tanner Marty round out your top 10.
How fitting is it that on Throwback Week, we have a Pearson in victory lane in the Stacy Strong Cup Series? And I don't know what switch he hit on his end. He must have had some nitrous in the car like they did back in the day as well, as he just absolutely smoked the field those last 2 laps. As we watch him now get the rest of those good years to good use, as he's going to burn the house down here at the start-finish line in front of a sold-out crowd.
Neil Pearson maybe was channeling his inner David Pearson, who had 10 wins here over history. And, of course, now Neil Pearson chalking his name there just alongside his possible cousin. We're going to call him Cousins as we get one more driver here. We're looking for Nolan Hodgson to hop on down into the waiting room. I just can't find him. Here he is. As we're going to get a hold of Neil Pearson from Perth, Australia. Hey, Neil, it's Dave and Matt up in the booth. You got us.
I got yous.
Well, man, listen, I know that it's tomorrow morning over there, but you obviously brought home the checkered flag tonight, channeling your inner David Pearson. Take us through this, and how did you get here tonight?
Two tires at the end, basically, or like 2 cautions to go, I think it was, and yeah, I was just out to hold them off.
Yeah, I mean, this track is, we say that it's the track too tough to tame, but you've obviously been able to get that done here tonight. I mean, how is the car handling, tight, loose, short, long? What were the conditions inside the car? Because we saw a lot of people struggling after a short period of time.
Trying to just save it quite a lot just for the long run throughout the night. And as the track got colder and the night came on, the car actually just came to life. I got a little bit tight and I think the last long run we had. So I made some adjustments and those 2 tires just really helped it. And it was able to just to turn, like it was just on fire the last couple of laps. Like I think I did a 28.7 or something, which is about a second faster than what I did in qualifying.
Yeah, track temperature had a lot to do with that. As the track temperature came down, so did, the lap times as the speed went up. So, obviously everybody was feeling a lot more comfortable toward the end of this race tonight. But before we cut you loose, who do you need to thank and tip your helmet to? Who helps you get it done there on the 58 squad?
Ryko for the awesome setups, NB Designs for the same, because he was too lazy to do a paint for this weekend, and you guys for the broadcast, my teammates, Sunday Night NASCAR, and just everyone else who came out and raced. It was good fun. It's a good track, and I had a lot of fun.
All right, my friend, congratulations. We'll see you next week, and go ahead and celebrate with the team.
All right, thanks, bud.
And Matt, I believe that you should have Nolan Hodgson with you now, drive the number 12. And I seem to have lost Matt somehow. I don't know where he went. Hey, Nolan, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me.
Yeah, I got you.
Man, listen, you wind up climbing up 3 spots tonight, finishing in P2. We talked before the race about how you were going to get it done. Obviously, falling just short of the checkered flag, but, still a great run tonight for the 12.
Yeah, it was a good run. Unfortunately, I was lollygagging throughout the entire race, finally getting my act together. There was a point early in the race where, I gave myself damage, had to pass some cars, accidentally locked up my brakes, got into Dalton, which, I'm sorry for getting into you there. Obviously I barely locked up the brakes. And shot up the track. It was unfortunate, but yeah, I was able to come through in the end there. Really excited. That was a really good battle, I feel like, between me and Bobby there. Little door slamming action, just a little kiss, and but it was fun all around. I think it was a good race for the 12 team.
Yeah, all around it sure was. Now, of course, as we get deeper into the season now, this is absolutely going to help you, leapfrog a couple of the drivers who weren't out here tonight from the point standings. I mean, you needed to finish above Sean Rogers. You did. Patrick Gitter wasn't here, and neither was Matt DiCiani. So you're going to be diving deeper into the point standings, and trying to really solidify, your playoff run. Next week, we go to North Wilkesboro for the All-Star race. So what's going to be, your mindset going into All-Star weekend?
Well, I mean, shoot, go try to win the dang thing. Put a lot of practice this week for it. I think it was last year I participated in it, but I kind of was lollygagging in that race too. So I just need to. There's obviously not as much time as this race here to do what you need to do, but hopefully I can pull through on that one.
All right, buddy. Well, listen, congrats again on the P2 finish tonight. Who helps you get it done here on the 12, and who do you need to shout out?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank the guys at EPI for the amazing setups every week. I'm really fortunate to be able to work with those guys. Try to get the setup as good as it can be, get myself as good as I can be. My parents, they allow me to do this every weekend. They're watching the streams. My grandparents watch sometimes. I'd like to thank the 4Wide boys for, kind of helping me, talking me through this whole situation that I found myself in tonight. The lollygagging and all that. But But yeah, I think that's about it.
All right, my man. Congratulations. We'll see you next week at North Wilkesboro.
Thank you.
And Matt, I believe last but certainly not least, you should have Bobby Anderson, driver the number 18.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Bobby, Matt, and Dave up in the booth. You got us, sir.
Yes, sir.
Well, hey, first of all, that paint scheme on that race car tonight was absolutely top tier. You look like Bobby Labonte out there at times. That 18 was blistering quick, especially there in the early going. Did you have to make a lot of changes to stay on the top of the racetrack there, especially in the later phases?
No, that's not my cup of tea. I kept it the same the whole race. Been practicing that setup for past few days. So, yeah, no changes the whole way.
Well, hey, I mean, you had me fooled, man. It looked like you were down there on those pit stops, making some changes on that race car. But hey, that's why I'm up at the booth, not down there on the racetrack. Talk to me about the competition out there tonight. I mean, it seemed like you were in the hornet's nest at times. How were you able to survive the Lady in Black and put that car, up here at the front of this field when all was said and done?
Yeah, it was just a really strong race car. All of our 30 South guys had good finishes tonight. Neil had a great call with those 2 tires. Otherwise, I probably would have been up there with him. So, just great long run pace when we had those green flag runs. Was hoping we were going to get the last 50 laps to go green. Unfortunately, did not happen. So, but great car, and good night overall.
You mentioned your teammate there with that 2-tire call there. I wouldn't have thought that would have been the winning decision either, but he was really able to capitalize on those 2 Dr. Feelgoods. If that race would have gone green the last 50 laps, you feel like you would have been the man to beat?
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of funny. League that we were all in last year, Matt Long and I both took 2 tires, and we finished 1-2. And so we were all talking about it on the radio, and Neil said, "Yeah, I'm doing 2 tires," and I told him he was crazy. But he's in the victory lane tonight.
Sometimes the stars align and things just seem to go our way. But hey, you had a great run, great showing yourself here. Before we cut you loose, let you go celebrate with your team. Who helps you get it done on the 18?
Just a great team. Shout out to Ryko Motorsports. We get our setups from them, and Matt and Neil, great teammates. Andrew Dyson, who's probably listening from Australia right now as well. Great teammates to work with, and they push me to get better. So thanks to them.
Well, there he is, ladies and gentlemen, looking like Bobby Labonte out there on the racetrack tonight, powered by Ryko Performance, utilizing all the assets and great teammates out there to get it done tonight. Comes up just a little bit short, comes home second. Look for him to keep the momentum rolling. That is the driver of the 18, Bobby Anderson. Dave, back to you.
Thank you, Matt. As always, as we take one final look here at our final results, what a race we had tonight at Darlington Raceway. I mean, we've had drama, we had speed, we had quiet times of the race, and we had a lot of fun, I know, up here in the broadcast booth with our fans here in the YouTube.com live chat, which we would be remiss if we didn't I'm just reading another post there in the live chat. But I would be remiss if we didn't mention all of you that helped keep it interesting tonight. Neil Pearson brings home the checkered flag. He's joined on the podium by Nolan Hodgson and Bobby Anderson. Matt Long finishes in 4th position, while Chad Sanner rounds out the top 5. Sean Rogers, Dylan Banks, Paul Hill, Eric Papineau, Tanner Marty, they all round out your top 10, with Richard Pruitt, Keith Long, Michael Witt, Chris Davis, and Tane Hodgson making up the top 15, Matt.
Dave, if you could continue, I am still actually blind. iRacing spit me out and has not allowed me to join the session.
How does it feel to be like cow cud? You just got spit right out. Derek Heitman finishes in 16th, with Chris Claude in 17th. Bennett Allen, Dalton Mobley, and John Wilco out of McAdoo, Pennsylvania finish in 20th position. Ron Fitting finishes 21st, while 22nd goes to Seba Cornez. 23rd belongs to Chris Custer, with Rich Jett holding 24th. Brian Tarnowski out of Waukesha, Wisconsin, comes home in 25th after some hardware issues, while Rafael Rodriguez almost simultaneously has a hardware issue with his VR headset in 26th. Andrew Deemer and Anthony Savignano finished 27th and 28th, while 29th goes to Ryan Samuelson. Kavaja Holt and Mark Johnston come home in the top in the 30th and 31st spots, while Cody McCorkle, Diego Rodriguez, and Michael Caffrey round out the rest of the field here back in 34th position. And, you know, Matt, this is one of those nights where it just makes it so much easier to get through all these laps in this long race as long as I've got a good buddy sitting alongside of me like you.
Oh, hey, man, I certainly appreciate that. And no one else, I broadcast a lot of different places here on iRacing, and nobody seems to light up my Sunday night like you do each and every week. The calls, the action on the racetrack, the in the booth antics. No one breaks me like you either, Dave. So at the end of the day, another great one in the books here in the Stacy Strong Cup Series. And I certainly look forward to the upcoming weeks as we continue to go or navigate through the season, I should say.
Yes, sir. And for myself, Dave Regal, and my partner here in the broadcast booth, my brother from another mother, my work wife, if you will, Mr. Matt Mettler, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, making us a part of your evening, welcoming us into your homes and onto your phones, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. So for everybody here at Sim Racing Media, we want to say thank you for hanging out with us tonight and tomorrow as you go through your walk of life and walk down the road of life. Please don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody.